From historic Ingle Stadium in Chattanooga, Tennessee, ESPN presents a baseball special where the world's greatest basketball player continues his boyhood fantasy.
A lot of people may think this off the wall. Maybe it is, but I mean, I'm doing something that I choose to do. And that's try to follow one of the dreams that I had when I was a kid.
Michael Jordan's dream season follows an NBA career that was beyond imagination as he ended a 9-year reign with 3 NBA titles. Baseball has not come so easily to Jordan as the art of hitting has presented a unique challenge.
This is a completely different realm. He's out here playing baseball where when you get in that batter's box, it's just you.
With a batting average near the 200 mark, Jordan's pursuit has left his share of skeptics.
Michael, give it up. Go back and play basketball where you belong.
I deal with it in whatever fashion that you must deal with failure and move on, you know, but I'm not afraid to fail.
Jordan hasn't been failing lately. He has a .304 average in his last 15 games. And tonight, Jordan, the baseball player, continues his dream. From historic Ingle Stadium in Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's the Birmingham Barons and Michael Jordan taking on the first place Chattanooga Lookouts. We take a look at the Western Division standings of the Southern League in the second half. Chattanooga with a half-game lead over the first-half winner Huntsville, and Nashville 1 game back. They finish the season here this weekend. Hi, everybody. Dave Campbell along with Buck Martinez, and everything is focused on Michael so much. You've seen him play 3 games so far. What are your impressions?
Well, Dave, I think as long as Michael Jordan continues to enjoy playing baseball, he's got a chance to become maybe a big league player one day. You know, when you think about Jordan, he hasn't played since high school, and what he's been able to accomplish at a pretty tough league, the Southern League, is really quite remarkable. For the season, he's hit over 200, but you'll have to notice what he's done with the RBIs. 49 runs driven in, and he's stolen 30 bases. The last 2 weeks, Jordan has really come on with the bat. He's hitting over 300, and that really has Michael encouraged. He's really upbeat at the end of a very grueling season here in AA.
Well, for Chattanooga, a AA farm club of the Cincinnati Reds, they have some of their top prospects here, and I know you've really been impressed with one guy.
Yeah, Pokey Reese has everybody's attention, and every night he seems to make an Ozzie Smith type of defensive play at shortstop. Last night here against Birmingham, he takes away a base hit from Shane Turner, going up the middle and diving, and everybody really thinks Pokey Reese is ready to take his shot at the big leagues.
Well, Travis Buckley, who's 7-1 for Chattanooga, goes against Larry Thomas. We're looking forward to it. Hope you are too. That is the name of this place after it was renovated $2.2 million in 1988. It was opened in 1930, and this ballpark has indeed seen some great stars of baseball over the years. They are going to see a great star of basketball who's trying to be a baseball player. One of the things Michael's had to do and put up with is a lot of advice on how to hit. We asked Michael before the game, what's the strangest piece of advice he's had?
The best guy to give me advice was Chichi Rodriguez. You know, and when he came to a game in Birmingham, I think they had a tournament at Greystone, one of the golf courses there, and I didn't anticipate him giving me advice about baseball. I thought he would give me something about putting or something about golf. And he gave me a hint about being aggressive at the ball and seeing the ball and hitting the ball, which is, you know, pretty much what everyone was telling me. And I found it very odd that it was coming from him about baseball instead of golf.
Well, Chichi Rodriguez is a tremendous baseball fan, and one of his best friends and often golf partner is the former Giant pitcher Ruben Gomez, so he has a pretty good idea of what he's talking about.
Let's take a look at the Birmingham lineup. Michael Jordan will be part of that tonight. Doug Brady will lead off at second. Glenn DeSarcina, the brother of Gary's, at short. Mike Robertson at first. Shane Turner at third. Kerry Valerie is in center. Kevin Coughlin is in right. Michael Jordan bats seventh and left. Troy Fryman, the brother of Travis Fryman, is the DH. And Chris Trimmey is the catcher. He will bat number 9. And on the mound is right-hander Travis Buckley.
Well, Travis Buckley has bounced around a bit. He's pitched in 6 professional seasons, 9-7, but he's 7-1 since he's joined the Lookouts. He's got an outstanding curveball, and when he came over here, his manager Pat Kelly says, hey, that's a big league pitch, use it, and he's reestablished the command of that curveball. If Defensively, you see the lookouts, Gordon, Gibraltar, and Mottola in the outfield. Chad Mottola, former #1 pick, has outstanding speed and a great arm. 17 assists this year. Last year, he committed 15 errors. So far this year, just 1 error. Dramatic improvement defensively from Mottola. Pokey Reese at shortstop. Brian Kelling, the second baseman. Hard-hitting Tim Belk at first base. The catcher is Troy Buckley. Notice we've got a Buckley and Buckley battery here at Chattanooga tonight.
And they are no relation. Travis Buckley, who was briefly with Chattanooga a year ago, went on to the Mariners organization. Then when he was released, he came back over here in June and has gone 7-1 since rejoining the Lookouts. And you're looking at Troy Buckley, the catcher. Doug Brady will step in, a switch hitter for Birmingham. Brady is hitting at .247, 3 homers, 44 runs batted in. First pitch bunted left side. On to first base by Owens, not in time. An infield single for Brady. So Eric Owens tried to make the play barehanded, but Brady laid down a good bunt. 1 pitch, and the Barons have their first hit.
Southern League managers believe that Doug Brady's the best base runner in this league, and he takes advantage of that skill right there. Puts down a perfect bunt. Eric Owens coming in from third base. Good play, barehands, but you can see the speed of Brady as he crosses the bag at first.
32 steals for Brady. He is #4 in the Southern League. Michael Jordan right behind him, #5. Moved to first, and Brady back standing. Irwin Moore of Huntsville with 53 leads the pack. Eric Owens, who just fielded that bunt, is second. Brady is fourth. This is Glenn DeSarcina, .255 average, 7 homers, 56 runs batted in. Buckley delivers a strike. The home plate umpire is Brian King. DeSarcina, 24 years old, out of Billerica, Mass. University of Mass grad. He was signed as a 14th round draft choice back in 1991. Brady driven back again.
Well, the manager, Terry Francona of the Birmingham Ball Club, knows that he can't sit back and slug with this Lookouts team, so he might be a little more aggressive on the base paths tonight. There you see the 1993 Manager of the Year in the Southern League.
Barons only have 39 home runs. To reiterate what Buck has said, they have to get the running game going. No balls, 2 strikes as DeSarcina fouls it off on the right side. The next lowest number in the Southern League is 62 by Knoxville. So Terry says, we don't have any power. We got to try to manufacture. And we take a look at Pat Kelly. He is the manager of the Chattanooga Lookouts. Played in the Angel organization. Also was up in Toronto for a while. Had a brief cup of coffee with the Blue Jays. No balls, 2 strikes to Glenn DeSarcina. A lot of left-handed batters up that year. And he held up on the slider. 1 ball, 2 strikes to DeSarcina.
Well, he mentioned that Travis Buckley had bounced around. He's been with the Rangers, the Expos, the Rockies. He was earlier with the Reds and the Mariners. Now back with the Reds again.
See that patch on Buckley's shoulder. We'll tell you about that in a second as Brady is driven back. Thomas Templeton, the team doctor of the Lookouts, unfortunately passed away suddenly earlier this year, and they wear that patch to honor their team doctor. And he was not an elderly man, they tell us. 1-2 pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
We mentioned that Buckley, he was 7-1 since he's joined Chattanooga this year. Pat Kelly was a catcher, and when he saw Buckley and how he was going about things, he suggested that he reestablished his curveball. All throughout his career, he's had a very good curveball, but he got away from throwing it. Because of that, he didn't have command of it.
There's a curveball ripped down the right field line. Brady didn't get a real good jump, but he will go to third as DeSarcina heads to second. But Tola's throw, not in time. So the Barons kicking up their heels early. A bunt single and a double by DeSarcina. Runners at third and second, and nobody out here in the first inning.
Here's a curveball. You can see that it's down fairly well, but it's out over the plate. DiSarcina hooks it over the glove of Tim Belk at first base. Chad Mottola has an outstanding arm. Brady goes all the way to third base. Strong throw from right field, but you can see not in time to get DiSarcina, who has a double, and the Barons are threatening here in the first.
Mike Robertson, the Barons' best hitter, steps in. .321 average. Foul out of play left side. No balls and a strike. Robertson out of USC. Had a good collegiate career there. He spent quite a bit of this season at AAA Nashville. And if that sounds a little confusing to you, because we showed you the standings of AA Nashville, there are two teams in Nashville, a AA and a AAA team. This is fouled out of play. The Nashville Sounds are the AAA team of the White Sox. The Nashville Express are the AA team of the Minnesota Twins. They're moving to Bayamon, Puerto Rico next year.
They'll move to Bayamon, and I think that's going to be a real good franchise down there. Of course, Puerto Rico, a baseball hotbed. It'll be a nice addition to this Southern League.
You and I both played winter ball down in Puerto Rico. I certainly enjoyed my time.
So did I.
No balls, 2 strikes to Robertson. Just inside. Buckley went for the kill with a fastball and just missed.
In a situation like this, you're pitching against a veteran hitter like Robertson. He's been around, good collegiate career. He understands his goal right here. Go the other way. Just put the ball in play and cash in at least one of these base runners. So you try to crowd him. Make sure he doesn't extend his arm.
Ripped deep, but foul to right field. He tried to come in again, and that time Robertson was leaning on it.
Well, you've got to have confidence now to go back in there. Long foul ball. You can see that that was out over the plate. Robertson immediately knew it was foul.
First thought when a guy pulls your best heater, what do you think? Change up?
That's the natural reaction. Curveball. Got it.
Got him. Knocked a hammer on him, and Robertson caught looking.
Well, that's the pitch that's turned Travis Buckley's season around. That curveball. His manager convinced him to throw it more often, and boy, does he use it well here. Just really locks up Mike Robertson.
This is Shane Turner, the third baseman, stepping in. A big out for Buckley as he gets Robertson on strikes. Bouncing ball right side. This will score a run. Brian Kelling on to Tim Belk for the out, but that produces the first run as Brady scores, and the Barons grab a 1-0 lead for Turner, his 13th RBI as he joined the club late. So the Barons grab the early lead, moving over to third, DiSarcina, and the hitter will be Kerry Valerie, the center fielder. Valerie, a good athlete out of Southern Mississippi University, played defensive back there. Has put up some pretty good numbers with Birmingham this year, although he's tailed off a little bit in the last 3 weeks. Curve for a strike. 0-1 as Buckley's got the bender going.
Valerie's been around 300 all year long, but as Dave mentioned, he started to run out of gas, and I spoke to him about fatigue, and he said, yeah, he said, I'm just wearing down a little bit. Swung on and missed. I'll tell you, if Buckley can get out of this with just 1 run, the way the inning began, that's got to be a moral lift not only to him but to his ball club. He's got Valerie in a hole. No balls, 2 strikes. Liner up the middle, base hit. Threw him 1 too many breaking balls up, and Valerie makes it 2-0. DiSarcina scores, and for Kerry Valerie, RBI number 58. Buckley got a little careless with that 0-2 breaking ball and just kind of flipped it up there, and it stayed up around the belt. Everybody knows that Buckley's got that good hook working tonight, so Valerie's sitting on it. Watch where this pitch ends up. You see, it's too high. Even though Valerie was out in front of it a bit, it was still high enough that he could rip it back into center. Valerie has 29 steals. Kevin Coughlin is the hitter. And Valerie going. Throw to second by Buckley. They got him. Great
throw by Buckley and a good tag by Pokey Reese. So that'll do it for the Barons here in the top half of the first. They come up with a pair. We go to the bottom of the first inning, 2-0 Birmingham. Strikes for 2 in the top half of the first inning. As the lookouts come on, ESPN, end the strike please now. Well, maybe not quite good grammar, but a good idea. Pokey Reese leads off at short. Eric Owens will be at third. Tim Belk, good hitter, is at first. Keith Gordon will be in left. Micah Franklin with 31 home runs this year in the minors is the DH. Steve Gibraltar in center. Chad Mottola in right. Troy Buckley is the catcher, and Brian Kellings at second base.
Left-hander Larry Thomas on the mound. This is the 6th time that Thomas has started against Chattanooga. 4-10 on the season, 4.77 ERA. 2 years ago, he was the league leader in ERA. This year, he's second in the league in allowing home runs. He's given up 16 home runs. Overall, Larry Thomas was one of the big prospects in the White Sox organization. He's got a good sinking fastball, a breaking ball, and a straight changeup, but he's really had his coaches and managers baffled with his lack of success this year. Birmingham Barons defensively, Jordan, Valerie, and Coughlin in the outfield. Turner, DeSarcina, Brady, and Robertson on the infield. Michael Jordan is moved to left field. This is just his 19th start in left field, and he's really adapted well. 28 consecutive airless games. This happened last night on a line drive toward the line. You could see Jordan making a fine running catch to end the inning and saving a couple of runs. So overall, his athletic ability has really shown up first in the outfield.
Yeah, the batter was Dan Rohrmeyer, and that would have been his 40th double of the year, which would have tied a Southern League record. But Jordan made a great play. Pokey Reese steps in. Boy, you talk about a guy that's turned a season around offensively. He hit 170 the first 2 months, and he's up to 273 on the season. 1 ball, no strikes. Thomas. 12 home runs, 11 of those in the second half. He has really come on. Ball and a strike.
Big difference in his approach right there, taking 2 pitches. They've moved him into the leadoff spot. Since then, he's caught fire. Taking a lot more pitches, having a better look at the pitcher selection. After a breaking ball down and in there.
Well, we mentioned Reese with that awful start, 170 April and May, and then coming on June, July, and August, just getting better and better. He is adjusting to the league, still just 21 years old. Looping drive, shallow center field. Valerie on, can't get it. So Reese opens with a jam job to center field for a single. That's a 10-game hitting streak for Pokey, and he's hit over 400 during that span.
Well, now he's got the outfielders pushed back a bit because of the 12 home runs he's hit, and he drops one right in front of Kerry Valerie, the center fielder. He got jammed on that ball, but fights it off and dumps it into center to start things off for the lookouts.
21 out of 25 stolen base attempts for Reese. Eric Owens is the hitter. 257 average for Eric. He is out of Danville, Virginia. And Thomas, they tell us, has the best move in the league. He's picked off 11 so far this year.
Now he has the ability to balance and take a look at that runner. Very deceptive move. So much of the White Sox game is built around the stolen base, so they have an appreciation for defending against it.
And again, Thomas goes over to first.
Remember, the lookouts are facing Thomas for the 6th time, so they've got a pretty good idea about his move now.
Thomas out of the University of Maine. He was the #2 draft choice of the White Sox back in 1991. And we've mentioned he led this league in ERA in '92. But the wheels have kind of come off this year for Larry Thomas. 1 ball, no strikes to Eric Owens. Eric was the NCAA Division II Player of the Year back in 1992 at Ferrum College in Virginia, F-A-R-R-U-M. Also was a backup quarterback there. He's a speedster if he can get on. Foul out of play, and the count's 1-1. Birmingham scored a pair in the top of the first. Key hit in the inning. Glenn DeSarcina had a double to set it up. 1-run score and a bounce out by Shane Turner, and the other by a single from Kerry Valerie. ball, 1 strike. Thomas again moves to first. In fact, you see exactly what you're talking about there, how he just balances on that back foot. I sometimes wonder if those left-handers have the ability to decide midstream whether they want to go to first or not.
I talked to Jimmy Key about that, and he said they can't decide midstream.
Cannot?
Cannot.
Okay.
They pretty much set their mind before they go.
Bouncer toward short. Too slow for a double play. In fact, too slow to get the force as DiSarcina had trouble getting it out of his glove to Brady. And we'll wait for the scoring as Pokey Reese hustled into second.
Well, you remember it's been raining here most of the afternoon, and infield is slow. Watch Reese in his good hustle to second base. DiSarcina had trouble finding the handle of that ball, and Reese's aggressiveness pays off. Take a look at the hard slide at second base. He actually got hit with that ball. Brady never got a glove on it. And it was Reese who knocked the ball down and kept it at second base.
Well, that's DiSarcina's 52nd error of the season. To Glenn's credit, he has played very well defensively the last 4 weeks. The Southern League record is 55 in a season, and the season ends this Saturday. Here's Tim Belk. First baseman has some big numbers this year. And Thomas gets ahead. No balls and a strike. He's second in the league in runs batted in. 311. He's in the top 7 in that department. He's actually tied for second in RBIs. Bouncing ball right side. Brady to DiSarcina for 1, and that's all they can get. Ball was not hit hard enough, so 4-6 on the force out. Belk safe on the fielder's choice. Chattanooga with runners at first and third, and 1 out here in the bottom of the first.
Now the Lookouts have 2 base runners on, and they've yet to hit the ball squarely. Right here, it's another ball off the end of the bat, just not hitting sharply enough to get 2 on it. Brady goes to DiSarcina for 1 out, but Belk hustles down the line, first and third. That's what Thomas will do to you when he's on his game. Gets you to hit a lot of ground balls.
Here's the cleanup hitter, Keith Gordon. Gordon divides time with Dan Rohrmeyer in left field. Gordon getting the nod tonight. 1 ball, no strikes. Gordon, a former number 2 draft choice of the Reds. Keith out of Wright State University, that's in Ohio. One ball, no strikes. And this one on the edge, according to the umpire Brian King. 1 ball, 1 strike. I assume that's where Mr. Thomas has to keep that sinker.
Yeah, you want to get these big power hitters to chase that ball. And then you watch for the adjustment. Once he goes outside to get that pitch, you got to bust him inside to keep him honest.
Belk driven back. Tim has 13 steals, has been caught 8 times, and with the move of Thomas, doesn't figure to run here, at least perhaps until Gordon gets 2 strikes on him. Gordon strikes out about once every 3.5 times, so he is prone to the strikeout. 2 balls and a strike.
Gordon actually got up to Cincinnati last year for 6 at-bats. He spent almost 2 months in Indianapolis this year. Came back down and now starting to make a contribution to this stretch drive for the Lookouts.
Took a little off, 2-2.
There you see the outfield defense. Jordan shading Gordon toward the line, straightaway in center, straightaway in right, but deep.
Gordon's dad, Billy, a former NBA player, played with the Bullets and the Sonics. Jam job to right, but a base hit. And the score comes Reese. Belk will stop at second, and it's a 2-1 ball game as Chattanooga gets on the board.
Now Thomas has to be asking himself, what do I have to do to get an out? Lookouts have yet to hit the ball hard, but they've scored a run and cut the lead in half. Gordon gets jammed, but he's so strong he fights it off into the right field. Chases home the base runner from third base. Belk moves into second base. Nobody's hit the ball hard yet, but they've got a couple of hits and scored a run.
Of course, the two by Pokey Reese and by Gordon were pitches that are up, and Larry Thomas doesn't have enough to get the ball by hitters up, so he has to pitch down. He's going to get a lot of jam jods off him if it's up. Bouncing ball from Micah Franklin. DeSarcina back to first, and that'll do it. 4-6-3. Birmingham turns to double play. Michael Jordan bats number 2 in the second. We're through 1 here at Chattanooga. It's 2-1 Birmingham Barons. Birmingham leads the Chattanooga Lookouts 2-1 as we head towards the top of the second. Invite you to join Lee Corso, Craig James, and Chris Fowler as they discuss the off-season troubles of Florida State. Can Tennessee stop J.J. Stokes and UCLA? And what can we expect from Washington and USC in the Pac-10? Chris, Lee, and Craig will have it all tomorrow. That'll be followed by the Arizona Wildcats and Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Arizona coming off a Pac-10 co-championship and a 10-2 final record. They got 15 returning starters, and they have never been to the Rose Bowl. They think this may be the year. Georgia Tech looks to bounce back after a consecutive 5 and 6 seasons. Sports Illustrated, by the way, has the Desert Swarm of Arizona ranked number 1 in the nation. That's college football tomorrow.
Bengals Stadium players not on strike.
Indeed, they're not.
Everybody's thrilled to get a chance to play here in front of the national audience. Players talking about it all day long.
Kevin Coughlin, the hitter, he was up when Bowery was cut down trying to steal back in the first inning. Coughlin, 23, out of Damascus, Maryland. Been in the White Sox organization for 5 years. Not a lot of power. Michael Jordan waits in the on-deck circle. Foul tip.
You know, you saw him rocking there, timing the pitcher's release, and that's an improvement because now he's starting to understand how he can go to work and do some homework when he's still on deck. Look at him trying to get the timing together. A lot of hitters in the big leagues will stand in that on-deck circle and rock back with the pitcher as if they were in the batter's box.
Two balls and a strike to Coughlin. This one's popped up in the infield. Eric Owens, third baseman, takes charge. And 1 out here in the top half of the second inning. Well, let's listen to the reaction from the crowd for Michael. Curve high, 1 ball, no strikes.
You know, Michael said he's gone through several different transitions during the course of the summer. First, he had to get bat speed to catch up to the fastball. Then he had to make adjustments trying to hit the breaking ball. He's becoming more selective all the time. Early on, he was so anxious to get hits that he was swinging at a lot of bad pitches.
The 2-0 pitch. Foul out of play right side. 2-1. Buck, let's take a look at the weight transfer here.
Watch him put that front foot down. Right there, his hands are in a good spot. Just a little bit late. He got beat on that fastball as he made contact back over the plate.
Two balls, 1 strike to Michael Jordan. 3-1. This is one of the situations, Buck, you said you were talking to him the other day and you mentioned something about hitter's counts, and he said until recently he didn't know what a hitter's count was.
Now, I had no idea that you sit on pitches looking for these counts like 3-1.
Off him up right side. Tim Belt grabs it for out number 2. Case there where he was ahead 2-0 and 3-1 and really did not have good cuts.
Now, he said, you know, that it's just something he's learning a little bit more here at the later of the season. Now he's got the count in his favor, 3-1. He's thinking about getting a fastball. His hands are in good position right there, but you can see he got jammed on that ball and popped it up. Didn't really make contact out in front of the hitting zone. Not a bad swing overall. It just needs to be a little bit more out in front.
Here's Troy Fryman. He is the younger brother of Tiger star Travis Fryman. Struggling a little bit at the Double-A level his first year here after having a good year at South Bend in the Midwest League last year.
You know, it's not uncommon for a player to struggle the first year at Double-A because the difference is quite noticeable. The quality of pitching you see from night to night. He's turned it on a bit lately, and that has a lot to do with Michael Jordan hitting in front of him and getting on base. Excuse me, Dave. Terry Francona, the manager, decided that he was going to try to help out Fryman, put Jordan ahead of Fryman, and then when Michael got on, pitchers and catchers have a tendency to worry about the stolen base, and Fryman, as a result of that, has gotten more fastballs. So Francona's idea has paid off for Fryman.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Buckley went for the inside corner.
Michael Jordan has been a phenomenal teammate. Talked to coaches and players. He's really done a great job of maintaining his enthusiasm through the course of this summer.
Struck him out. So 3 up, 3 down for the Barons. Steve Gibraltar always hustles in. He wants to hit. We'll take a look at him when we come back. 2-1 Birmingham. Birmingham leads 2-1 as we head to the bottom of the 2nd inning. Michael Jordan, after so many years in the NBA, certainly learned how to adjust to both the physical and mental rigors of the game. But we ask him about baseball.
Mentally is when you really get exhausting because you always got to constantly battle with yourself about, you know, individual play, individual things that you have to work on to make yourself better. And you're going in so many different slumps and ups and downs that, you know, mentally you always got to focus to get yourself out of a hole or get it back on track or whatever. So mentally I'm exhausted, a lot more than physically.
Well, Michael's got 3 more games after tonight. The Barons play here tomorrow, and then they have 2 at Huntsville to close out their season. This is Steve Gibraltar leading off. He is a former 6th-round draft choice out of Duncanville, Texas, and a great defensive player. He is jammed. Brady says he'll take it. And that's 1 out. You know, Buck, before the game tonight, and I know Sunday you talked to Michael, I mean, he seems so outgoing and so easy to talk to. I mean, was that a surprise to you at all?
Yeah, it was. When I got a chance to talk to him on Sunday at length for about a half an hour, I was really surprised at his enthusiasm. He said, you know, I really love this game. I enjoy playing it. I love the camaraderie. I love everything about it. And to have this kind of enthusiasm here on the 31st of August after 5 months of traveling around in the Southern League is pretty impressive. I mean, don't forget, he doesn't have to be here.
He did buy the bus to travel around in, though. This is Chad Mottola, another bright prospect in the Reds organization, a former #1 in 1992. Terrific outfielder. He was voted the best arm in the league, and we focused on his 17 assists prior to the game tonight. Bouncer right side towards Brady. Dug up and on to Mike Robertson. 2 up, 2 down here in the Chattanooga 2nd. Well, Michael will be getting on the bus he bought after tomorrow night's game. We get a chance to look at that bus. Not too bad. A little better than the one I drove around in Double-A.
Yeah, you got to admire what he was thinking about. He said, hey, it's a tough league, and I've got the ability to do that, so I'm going to make my teammates comfortable. You know, one thing, I haven't had any feeling whatsoever that there's one person on this team that has resented any of the attention that this team has gotten all year long. You know, sometimes it can be a distraction, but boy, everybody is really pleased with the way Michael has handled everything. Terry Francona said, hey, he's been outstanding.
Had a chance to visit with Terry quite a bit before the game tonight, and he said, you know, we had such great pitching a year ago. Birmingham's the defending Southern League champions, but so many of those guys went up to AAA or Nashville. But I said to Terry, well, Terry, look at it this way. Each year as a minor league manager, you learn something, and this year you learned how to deal with the media, which is an important part of dealing at the major league level. Troy Buckley, catcher, draws a walk, so he becomes a two-out base runner here in the second. Buckley was hitting .218, and that'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Brian Kelling, the second baseman. We got rained on quite a bit about 2 hours prior to game time, but things are looking relatively decent right now, except for where we're sitting. The water is dripping down on us. Drive, right center field. This is going to be up the alley. Buckley around second, and he'll have to hold on at third as quick work by the Birmingham outfield keeps a run from scoring. So Brian Kelling, who had a cup of coffee with the Reds back in 1992 and is still thought of as a pretty decent prospect, drives a double to right center field, and Larry Thomas is suddenly in trouble here in the second.
Well, that pitch was down around the knees, and Kelling drives it up the alley. The speedy Barons outfielders cut it off. You can see Troy Buckley hustling around, holds up at third base with 2 outs. That's the first ball that's really been hit hard against Larry Thomas here tonight.
Thomas has to go after one of the hottest hitters in the league right now, Pokey Reese, and we're back to the top of the order. And Thomas gets ahead with a strike. A lot of people have compared this young man to Ozzie Smith, and Ozzie is his idol.
Well, if you're going to have an idol, why not go right to the top, huh?
Indeed.
Pokey Reese has a great arm. You see that single there, first inning. Continued his hitting streak.
Just 21 years old, out of Columbia, South Carolina. His grandmother gave him the name Pokey. She thought he was kind of chubby when he was a youngster. He's anything but right now. Great athlete. He signed a football grant need to Arizona State University before the Reds made him their #1 draft choice.
Yeah, I asked him about that today, and he said, man, I love football. He's a wide receiver and was really thinking about the idea of playing major college football.
Popped him up. Foul territory. Chris Tremmy back for a look, but it's out of play as Thomas went off speed. We mentioned a number of top prospects. 1987, Mark Merchant was a first-round draft pick of the Pirates. He's not playing tonight. Pokey Smith, Chad Mottola, and C.J. Nikowski out of St. John's University. He's scheduled to pitch tomorrow, and the Reds are very high on him. There's Pat Kelly, the skipper. Full count to Reese.
Now, Mark Merchant, as you saw, #1 pick, actually #2 in the country behind Ken Griffey Jr. in '87. Injuries have slowed his progress down.
And Pokey fouls it out of play to stay alive at 3-2. Barons lead 2-1, but that lead in jeopardy here in the bottom of the second. Troy Buckley walked with 2 outs, and Brian Kelling doubled up the alley in right center.
Let me tell you something. That last swing by Pokey Reese, pretty good indication that he is starting to understand what it is to go after hangers. That's why he's got 12 home runs. That was a serious hack.
Ripped to deep left field. Jordan back into the corner. Looks like he's got it in sight in foul territory and makes the catch. So out goes the Lookouts here in the second. They strand a pair. Pokey Reese 1 for 2 on the evening. We go to the third inning. It's 2-1 Birmingham.
Back in Chattanooga, Birmingham leads 2-1, top of the third inning. Bottom of the second, Pokey Reese was at the plate with 2 runners on. He lifts a high drive toward left field. Michael Jordan, the left fielder, watch his reaction as he plays this ball. Long strides, takes him into foul ground. But he has a beat on it and makes the catch. As I mentioned earlier in the ball game, he's had 28 consecutive airless games in the outfield, and he seems to be becoming more comfortable all the time. This is his 19th start in left field. You remember that he started the season in right field, but has since made the switch and taken over in left.
Birmingham leading 2-1 as we go to the top half of the third inning. Nightfall descending on Chattanooga. It'll be the bottom of the order. Chris Trimmie, and then back to the top with Doug Brady and Glenn DeSarcina. It was Engel Stadium for so many years, and then when they renovated it with the help of Richard Holtzman, the owner of the Chattanooga Ball Club, $2.2 million, it became known as an historical landmark, and it is actually called Historic Engel Stadium. Here's Chris Trimmie, the catcher. Good defensive man, improving with the bat despite that .226 average. He only hit a .187 in A-ball last year before Mike Lum, who works in the minor league organization of the White Sox, started helping. Buck, you told me last night you kind of like this kid.
Yeah, I think he's got a shot defensively, and you know, the more he gains confidence with the bat, that's liable to come along. Of course, I'm kind of partial to good defensive non-hitting catchers.
Lined out to first. Tim Belk.
Well, that's a hang with him, Chris, and I've been there a lot myself. You hit it good, maybe next time. But he's starting to come around a little bit with a bat, feeling more confident. So much of this game is confidence.
Of course, he's got 4 games left, including tonight, and working on an 0 for 11. You hate to end the season that way. Here's Doug Brady, who beat out a bunt single back in the first inning and scored a run. 1 ball, no strikes from Travis Buckley. Brady had a 27-game hitting streak recently. To give you an idea where that falls in the context of Birmingham Baron history, a franchise that goes all the way back to 1885. That's the second longest. 33 games by Sumter Clark in 1922 is the longest. So Brady, despite the .249 average, did have a 27-game hitting streak earlier. 2 balls, 1 strike to Brady, hitting with 1 out here in the third. Birmingham scored both their runs in the first. Chattanooga got theirs in the bottom of the first. Changeup from Buckley, and a good one. Ball kind of danced down and away. Buckley has been with Texas. He's been with the Montreal organization, the Colorado Rockies, the Reds, the Mariners, and back to the Reds. And maybe, just maybe, based on what he's done since middle of June, he has found himself. Fastball, spank foul. Count stays at 2-2 to Doug Brady.
Well, that was a good sinking fastball. That's another thing that he's picked up here this summer. He's throwing a few more 2-seamers, trying to get the ball to move a little bit, maybe get him an easy ground ball out from time or two. What's the movement on this pitch? Good movement down and away to Brady. Gets a piece of it just to stay alive.
Looks like the other Mr. Buckley wants a curve, but that one got away from him. Full count to Doug Brady. Waiting on deck is Glenn DeSarcina, the shortstop. Brady, a 1-hopper out to Kelling, and on to Belk, and that's the second out in the inning. Well, we mentioned historic Engel Stadium. There's been a few rather significant events in the history of this place, but maybe one of the biggest, the first woman in professional baseball ever, 17-year-old Jackie Mitchell, pitching here, struck out Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Tony Lazzeri in an exhibition game back in April of 1931.
Take a look at that Coca-Cola sign there above the mound in center field. Lookouts written on it. Still there in center. So Jackie got Maybe 3 of the toughest hitters that ever stepped to the plate. Struck them all out.
DiSarcina, but Gibraltar, he's so fast he almost overran it. Great defensive center fielder, Steve Gibraltar. So DiSarcina denied. The Barons go in order here in the second. We go to the bottom of the third, 2-1 Birmingham. Barons lead Chattanooga by a score of 2-1 as we go to the bottom of the third. Hope you'll be tuning this Sunday for the season premiere of NFL Game Day in primetime at 12 p.m. NFL Game Day with Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, and Joe Theismann and others bring you exclusive hour-long NFL previews. And then at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, NFL primetime with Chris Berman and the gang, who will provide the most complete NFL wrap-up program. This Sunday, the debut of Game Day in primetime right here on ESPN. Game day at noon, prime time at 7, those times Eastern. Here's Eric Owens, third baseman. Larry Thomas's first pitch, ripped to left. Michael has to play it on a hop, and it gets by him. So Owens around second and takes a header. He would have made third, except he went right on his nose coming around second base. So that will be a hit in the air, and Owens aboard at second with nobody out.
Well, Eric Owens hit it right on the button, a sinking liner right at Michael Jordan's feet. Take a look at him as he tries to keep this ball in front of him, but it skips over his glove and goes back to the wall. Eric Owens had third base on his mind, but right there you can see him lose his footing around second. Took a header, and he had the hold up there. Well, that snaps a 28-game consecutive airless streak for Michael Jordan.
So Owens aboard for Tim Belk. First pitch, Belk with a big hack and a miss. See Michael's first air, 29 ball games. Belk, former Cincinnati Reds bat boy in his youth. Said Pete Rose his favorite player, and for a long while he kind of emulated the stance and the swing, but he said he kind of outgrew it. Had to get out of the crouch. Bouncer left side, 0-2 to Belk.
Take a look at the stance, somewhat unorthodox to start with. Before, when he attacks the ball, everything looks pretty sound to me. Getting 310, had a real big year driving in runs. Dave mentioned tied for third in the league in RBIs.
Got him on a slider. So Belk down on strikes as Larry Thomas gets a big out and freezes a runner at second base. Barons leading 2-1. Take a look at Belk's swing.
Now, it's a breaking ball down and in, and he didn't have a very good at bat here. You can see never even close to that pitch. He's lost his concentration, maybe thinking too much about Berube at second base instead of having a good at bat.
Here's Keith Gordon. He lined a single and drove in a run back in the first. Bouncing ball left side. DiSarcina has him in his sights at third, and out goes Owens, who made a base running mistake. The ball was in front of him. He shouldn't have gone. So score at 6-5 on the put out at third. Gordon aboard on the fielder's choice.
Watch the top of your screen. The base runner at second base, Eric Owens, goes on contact, and as soon as he goes, he has to know he made a mistake. You've got to wait until that ball goes through the infield when it's ahead of you. DiSarcina, I'm sure, quite surprised that the base runner tries to go to third. An easy out here as Shane Turner applies the tag.
So Gordon aboard, and the lead runner at second no longer there. Lookouts have a runner at first with 2 down. Gordon has 11 steals. He's been caught 7 times. Micah Franklin steps in. He began the year at Winston-Salem, hit 21 home runs in his first 42 games, and they said, better get out of this league. You better go to Double-A. Micah down the right field line, and it's curving foul. 0-1. Franklin has since added 10 home runs here, so he's the leading home run hitter in the Reds organization with 31.
Well, he's had his career turned around since he's joined the Reds. He started out with the Mets, got released by New York, got a chance to join the Reds, and boy, his career has taken off this year. Drove in 33 in the month of April before Pat Kelly got him here in Chattanooga. And since he's joined the Lookouts, as Dave mentioned, he's connected 10 times. This is a big league, tough league for home runs. A lot of big ballparks in this league.
Micah, a switch hitter. He is out of San Francisco and gives a lot of credit to his career turnaround to Willie McGee of the San Francisco Giants. Ripped to left field, a base hit. So the base running mistake by Owens may have cost the Lookouts a run. Jordan gets the ball back in, and Keith Gordon is 2 for 2 tonight. Excuse me, Micah Franklin is 1 for 2 tonight.
Now he starts his hands down around his belt, but then they get up to that hitting zone, and boy, oh boy, did he jump all over that ball. Ripped it to left field. Says he takes about 400 swings a day over at Willie McGee's house in California. McGee has quite a workout program set up for the young guys.
Here's Steve Gibraltar. Well, the other part of the game that Micah listened to Willie on was some finer points of how to get along in society. Micah was kind of an iconoclast for a while, and Willie said, hey, if you want to play this game, you got to get with the program. And Micah listened to Willie. Pitch inside to Gibraltar. 2 balls, no strikes to Steve. Kind of a kamikaze type attitude for Gibraltar. He says Lenny Dykstra, Pete Rose were 2 of his favorites. You've seen him how he sprints in after every inning. Also goes back out to his position that way. And last night, Buck, you and I were here. We watched him draw a walk, and it was vintage Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose sprinting to first base.
Well, he gives his high school coach back in Duncanville, Texas, a lot of credit for that. Bob Rombach, he said he played pro ball and taught him, hey, don't take anything for granted. Every time you step on the field, hustle. There he goes.
Bases loaded with Lookouts. 2 outs, and the hitter will be Chad Mottola, the right fielder, as Larry Thomas gets a visit from Chris Tremmy, his catcher. Terry Francona looking on. The Barons have lost 5 in a row, and they just kind of knocked themselves out of the race here in the second half. Bottom of the 3rd, Birmingham up 2-1 as Mottola, 22 years old, out of Pembroke Pines, Florida, steps in. 1 ball, no strikes. Chattanooga is right now pitching coach Kirk Champion is going to go out and talk to Larry Thomas. Chattanooga started tonight with a half-game lead over Huntsville. Huntsville won the first half, and 1-game lead over Nashville. This ball club under Pat Kelly has been a club that really has come on in the second half. A lot of young players have really started to find their stride, and Pat Kelly's been patient with them, and I think it started to pay off.
Yeah, when he made a few lineup changes, he dropped Gelling down into the 9th spot, moved Pokey Reese up into the leadoff spot. Reese became a much better hitter and started to show some power. That sparked the offense, and then the other guys picked it up. Belks had a real big year. Michael Franklin, of course, since he's joined the ball club midway through the season. Dan Romeyer has picked up.
Fly ball right field. Over to grab it is Kevin Coughlin. So the Lookouts have 4 base runners in the inning, but don't score. After 3, it's 2-1 Birmingham. Matchup as we go to the top of the 4th. Travis Buckley against Larry Thomas. Barons leading 2-1. And speaking of pretty good pitchers who have towed the slab in this ballpark, Satchel Paige played with the Chattanooga Black Lookouts in 1927. He's in their Chattanooga's Hall of Fame, and he also played with the Birmingham Black Barons 1927 to 1930. He's in their Hall of Fame. Probably 2,500 games in his career. He also pitched in 1965 with the Kansas City A's under Charlie Finley. He went 3 innings, and the best guess as to his age about that time was about 63 to 65 years old. And another pitcher who graced the mound here, you might remember. He looks a little different, doesn't he? Kitty Cott, 1959 here in the Southern League. He still holds the record for 19 strikeouts in a ball game as he was on his way to the Washington Senators. Wait later to become the Minnesota Twins. Fans having fun here at the ballpark tonight. I'd like to see their team rebound, but they got to get the Barons out here in the fourth.
Well, that'll give you an idea how accommodating the management is here in this ballpark. They put fans in for the fans to blow the air around.
How come they don't have one for us?
They're concentrating on the fans here at beautiful Ingalls Stadium.
Mike Robertson leads off here in the fourth. It's a slow tapper foul up the right side. Robertson struck out his first time up. Called out on a curveball.
Mike Robertson's dad played in the Senators organization and the Rangers organization, and his dad Mike is here with him. He's been with him for about a week now. He was in Birmingham for the series and made his way up here. He threw batting practice here last night.
Mike playing first base tonight, but he has also been playing a little outfield because there's some guy in Chicago by the name of Thomas that seems to have first place nailed down pretty well right now. So Mike Robertson trying to get a little bit of playing time in the outfield. Ripped right side, but foul, and it counts a ball and 2 strikes.
Strike out, make an out. Strike out, make an out. Come on, pitcher. You can do it. Strike him out.
That was Chester Lane.
You were down talking to Chester last night. Now give me his background.
Chester Lane saw his first game here in this ballpark when he was 5 years old, 1932.
You hit the ball. Strike out.
Probably didn't used to have the megaphone. Now the electronic wizardry is caught up. Bouncer up the middle, Pokey. That's what the fans here have been seeing a lot of. He goes to the second base side and throws out Mike Robertson.
Well, there was a little wizardry, but it wasn't electronic. It was Pokey Reese at shortstop. They say every single night he makes a play like this. You can see that ball hit in the heel of his glove, but he's got such soft hands, he cradled it right down into the pocket. Good strong arm and makes an easy play on a very tough ground ball up the middle. Good looking shortstop.
He can go left, he can go right, and he's got a great arm to go with it as Shane Turner looks at a curveball strike. Travis Buckley has settled down nicely since the first. Turner had a brief time in the big leagues with Seattle. He's also been with the Yankee organization and with the Phils. No balls, 2 strikes as Buckley's ahead. I wonder if Chester was here back in 1936.
Yes.
Famous night of Engle House giveaway.
Get off that plate. You get hit.
He has been here
Stand too close to that plate.
just about every game since then. He's been sitting right there for the last 2 years.
You're going down.
Did you tell me last night that he got under Michael's skin one night? Fastball inside corner as Buckley really pitched Turner well. So for Buckley, strikeout number 3, 2 curveballs and then a fastball on the inside corner.
Well, he had Turner thinking about that hook. You can see the fastball catches the inside corner. Looked like it had a little bit of a tail on it to get back over the inside part of the plate. Turner not necessarily in agreement with the home plate umpire.
Buckley has not lost since July 10th. Has an ERA of 1.69 since July 1. So he's been on the edges just like that. Strike 1 to Bowery. Curry knocked in what has been the difference in the game right now. He knocked in the Barons' second run back in the first inning. It's 2-1 Birmingham. Ball and a strike. Good breaking ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
So much of an athlete's success has to do directly with confidence. Since coming here to Chattanooga, Travis Buckley has gained tremendous confidence. He has reestablished his curveball, and he has turned his career around maybe here at Double-A. 7-1 since he's joined Chattanooga.
Got him with a fastball, and Buckley has his best inning. He has struck out 4. We go to the bottom of the 4th. From Chattanooga, the Barons lead the Lookouts 2-1. All the scoring is taking place in the first inning as we head to the bottom of the 4th. 2-1 Birmingham.
Well, we talked about Chester Lane, the fan, and how he'd been here since 1932. He's seen a lot of things happen. He probably doesn't remember 1936, but at the end of the season, last day of the season in 36, the owner, Joe Engel, decided that he was going to give away a house, and he moved that fence in 250 feet. He put the balls in the freezer and stacked in this ballpark 24,839 fans and gave away a house valued at the time at $30,000. What a promoter.
I have a feeling that probably Joe Engel might have been one of Bill Beck's early heroes.
Great idea to pack the house. 25,000 fans in this ballpark.
Joe was known as the Barnum of the Bushes after P.T. Barnum. Troy Buckley, the catcher, steps in. 2 balls, no strikes. Thomas behind. Lurie has pitched out of jams very well today. Drive, deep left center field. Michael backpedaling and can't make the play. This will be a 2-base hit for Troy Buckley as Michael got a little turned around and then ducked for cover.
Well, Michael got caught with that ball drifting on him. Watch as he goes to his left initially and then has to turn back to his right as the ball started to hook on him. And then he knows he's close to the wall, but actually he had a little more room than he thought. He just didn't get back in time, kind of gave up, pulled out of the play, and still had another full stride before he got to the wall.
Here's Kelling. And Bryan tries to bunt it right side. Tremmy over. Oh, had it, and it just got out of the webbing of his glove. Great effort by Chris Tremmy.
Well, he got to it and actually got the ball in his glove, but couldn't hang on. That bunt attempt popped up. Everybody in pursuit. The catcher, Chris Tremmy, got his glove on it. It was right in the web, but it just sneaks out of his glove. Look at the concentration. Just couldn't come up with it.
Good hustle by Brian King, also the home plate umpire, over there for a good look. Well, Thomas again looking at a no-out situation with a runner at second. He escaped last inning. Pitch to Kelling, tries to go the other way to move the runner to third and fouls it out of play. Good play by a fan in the stand. Yes, sir.
It's really a nice atmosphere here in this ballpark. You can see the fans are right on top of the play, and that fan stands up and makes a great barehanded grab.
Whoa!
Very popular dad right there.
0-2 to Kelly. Defensive play of the night. Count stays 0-2. Kelling still trying to hit the ball to right field. Bryan's out of Cleves, Ohio. Goes around Cincinnati with the Bowling Green, a 14th round draft choice. Downstairs, Tremmy can't find it, but it's right at his feet. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Hey, look at the outfield defense. Jordan deep in left field. You know, one thing I've noticed about Michael Jordan, I've seen him play 3 games now, is he's playing a little deep. We talked about him trying to get comfortable in the outfield. This is just his 19th game in left field. The ball coming off the bat travels differently, has different spin on it. He's just not comfortable yet, quite frankly. Boy,
Kelling again trying to go to right.
He's having a good at bat, isn't he?
He is.
Still trying to move that runner along, take advantage of that leadoff double.
Bryan was called up to the Reds in '92. Said he got in his car, put the heavy metal tapes on, and drove all night to get there. He was 1 for 15 in a brief trial, filling in for some injuries with Cincinnati. Got him. So Thomas blew him down. He won that battle as Kelling, still trying to go to right, strikes out. And Larry Thomas has pitched very, very well in the clutch tonight.
Now just the second strikeout for Larry Thomas. Looks like the catcher was set up outside. He throws that ball up and in and strikes out Brian Kelling.
So Thomas showing good mental toughness, and he's up against a hitter right now who the manager of the Chattanooga club, Pat Kelly, says has great mental toughness, and that's Pokey Reese. Pokey, a #1 draft choice, but in March of 1993, his girlfriend, with whom he had a child in Brescia, his girlfriend Tierney, was killed in a car crash, and Pokey really never was able to get on track last year at all. Has her name inside his hat, on his bats, on his glove. Pokey Reese, tragedy at a very young age, and maybe just now starting to get back on his feet as far as his baseball career.
Well, that had a lot to do with his slow start last year, obviously. Now he's very focused on what he wants to do.
Looping drive. DeSarcina's got it, and this will be a double play. So once again, Larry Thomas survives a leadoff man at second base. So we're through 4 at Chattanooga, and the Barons still lead 2-1. Michael Jordan will bat second in the inning. His Barons lead the Lookouts by a score of 2-1 as we move to the top of the 5th. Well, Labor Day always a traditional day for baseball, and this coming Monday no exception. At 1 o'clock Eastern, the Reading Phillies take on the Portland Sea Dogs, and then at 9 o'clock Eastern, the Omaha Royals will take on the New Orleans Zephyrs. Buck will be down on Bourbon Street to do that one. Take care of yourself down there, pal.
That's my old team, the Omaha Royals, who played there in 1971. There's a Braves fan that'd love to see a Braves game real soon. Awful lot of Atlanta Braves fans around here.
I love Denise. Look out. Kevin Coughlin will lead it off. Birmingham leads this one 2-1 as we head to the top half of the 5th inning. In case you joined us late, in the first inning, Doug Brady beat out a bunt. Glenn DeSarcina doubled. 1 run came in on a bounce out by Shane Turner, and Kerry Vowry knocked in the 2nd run. For Chattanooga, an RBI single by Keith Gordon in the first has accounted for their run. One strike from Buckley, who had his best inning in the 4th, striking out a pair. Buckley, as you can see, has retired 12 straight. No base runners since Vowry's hit back in the 1st. Pop foul out of play, and one thing about Buckley, he's learned the principle of 0-2. He's been 0-2 at a lot of hitters tonight.
Well, he had trouble in the first inning with command. He gave up back-to-back hits to start the ball game, gave up those 2 runs, and since then has really settled in, and that's not unusual. See a lot of big league pitchers have trouble with their command in the first inning, particularly a guy that relies an awful lot on a curveball. You know, you get out to the mound, the adrenaline's flowing, you're pumped up. Takes you a few pitches to get comfortable on the mound and find that release point for your curveball.
Breaking ball. 3 strikeouts in a row for Travis Buckley. He's gotten Turner, Vowry, and now Coughlin. Here's Michael. Jordan popped to first back in inning number 2. Curveball outside, 1 ball, no strikes.
You know, I think it's important for people to remember, let's don't compare the way Michael is playing to big leaguers. Let's compare him to Double-A players. Actually, that's not even fair because he hasn't played since he was in high school.
Bouncer to Pokey, and Jordan thrown out. Michael, number 45, the same number he wore back at Laney High School. So out number 2 is Buckley's knocked down 13 in a row.
One thing about Michael Jordan, he can run. Right here, he puts the ball on the ground towards shortstop, and look at the strides as he eats up to 90 feet down the first baseline. As long as he continues to enjoy himself on the baseball field, he says he's going to continue to work at it. I don't think anybody should begrudge him that. He's having a good time, and he's putting in a lot of hard work.
Yesterday, the White Sox petitioned the Arizona Fall League to see if Jordan could join that league. I guess they had to submit a couple of weeks ago a list of 6 players. And the White Sox did not have Jordan on that list, but somehow I have a feeling if Michael would like to play in the Arizona Fall League, I think the people out there would probably like to have him.
And he's anxious to go down and put some time in. He understands he's got a lot of work ahead of him. But overall, he's been very encouraged by the way that he has played lately. We talked about the air he committed. That snapped a string of 28 consecutive airless games. He's hit over 300 his last 2 weeks of the season here. And he said, you know, I'm really encouraged. I'm finally hitting a few balls a little harder. He's hit 3 home runs in a tough home run ballpark, Birmingham's home ballpark.
Two balls and a strike to Troy Fryman. Terry Francona will manage the Scottsdale Scorpions in the Arizona Fall League, and should Michael play in that league, he would be playing for Terry again. Fryman bouncing right side to Kelly, and another 1-2-3 inning for Travis Buckley. So Michael will head to left field. We'll head away for a break. Not before telling you the score is 2-1 Birmingham. Well, the score has stayed the same since the first inning. Birmingham leading Chattanooga by a score of 2-1. And continuing in the mold of Joe Engel, the great promoter, we have bowling here between innings.
I tell you see some great things in minor league ball games. In Birmingham the other day, they had a baby race. They took the parents of young children, they put them out on a big blanket, and they coaxed them to race toward mommy in between innings.
You know, I saw one thing here before the game tonight. I wish maybe a few big league teams might adopt. When the lookouts went out to take their positions in the top of the first inning, they had an entire little league team come out and stand at their respective positions, and they just stood there during the national anthem, and they all ran off the field. But what a thrill for those youngsters. That wouldn't be too bad to do in a major league park. Have a selected little league team come out.
It's a great idea, and Birmingham does it as well. And on Sunday, you can imagine these 2 kids in left field standing next to Michael Jordan. They haven't seen the flag yet. They're just standing up there looking at Michael. They're standing out there for the national anthem.
This is fouled off by Eric Owens. Owens has reached on an error and singled to left.
You know, this is one thing I think that baseball has to get back to, is acknowledging the fans and making contact. There's so many fans now that have no idea what these guys are really like. It's nice to be in a situation where the fans come out and they shake hands, get autographs, and it's really a great atmosphere down here in the minor leagues.
We had kind of fun tonight when the tarp was on the field. A lot of the Chattanooga players came up and sat in the stands. Buck and I went down and visited with them. We really had fun.
A lot of young players from all over the country, Puerto Rico, Venezuela.
2-2 to Eric Owens, and he got him on strikes. A good slider by Larry Thomas, who is pitching much like the White Sox thought he was going to be pitching earlier this year.
Now, you talked about Larry Thomas earlier and how he had some similarities to Randy Jones, the way he pitches down in the strike zone, turns the fastball over there. He threw a slider down and in. He's not going to overpower you. He won't blow you away. You've really got to be patient as a pitcher to pitch like that, but it appears as though Larry Thomas is pretty confident tonight.
Tim Belk takes the slider. 1 ball, no strikes. Belk with good numbers, unorthodox stance. Started his career at the University of Texas. They tried to change a lot of things. He didn't want to change. And he hits that ball well, but DiSarcina will toss him out. And that is out number 2 here in the bottom of the 5th inning.
DiSarcina from Boston, of course. His brother Gary plays for the Angels. Ask him about Michael Jordan. He said, before I met him, I hated him. He was a Bull, and I was a Celtic Bird fan. And Jordan scored 63 against my Celts, but we still won.
Like his brother Gary wears number 33 to honor Larry Bird. Here's Keith Gordon. He is singled to knock in the lone Chattanooga run tonight. He's also reached on a fielder's choice. Ripped up the alley in left center field. And it will go to the fence for extra bases. Well, Gordon pulls in with a double up the alley. And once again, Chattanooga has a runner in scoring position. Although they are 1 for 9 with men in scoring position tonight.
Well, Keith Gordon's got a lot of power, and he drives this ball up the alley. You see the center fielder, Kerry Valerie, converging with Michael Jordan on the ball as it bounces off that wall. You know, the Senators had their farm team here for so long. That alley was known as Allison's Alley for a long time when Bob Allison played his Double-A days here. Harmon Killebrew, of course, played here. Lots of great talent came through this ballpark.
Micah Franklin hits a scorcher, but right at Doug Brady, who throws him out, and the Lookouts are 1 for 10 with men in scoring position. We're through 5 in Chattanooga. Birmingham leads 2-1. Now the Barons lead 2-1 as we head to the 6th kids night here at Joe Engel Stadium. A bunch of little leaguers. Those youngsters were out on the field with the Lookouts before the game tonight. Well, speaking of kids, another guy who played in this league, Joe Nuxall, Birmingham, 1944. Of course, prior to playing with Birmingham, he became the youngest player ever to play in the major leagues at 15 years, 11 months and 10 days. Had a rather rough first outing, but spent 7 years in the minor leagues before coming back up to the show.
Now, you mentioned a lot of talent here in this organization. Historic Engel Stadium, renamed in 1989 for Joe Engel, a former owner. Another great player that made his way through here. Harmon Killebrew was here in 1957 and 58. Actually played for Cal Irmer, former Minnesota Twins manager. And I talked to Cal last night here at the ballpark. He said, you know, this ballpark really made Harmon a pretty good hitter because it was so big to left field. He started to hit the ball toward the alley in right center. He hit 49 home runs in 69 for the Twins. Hall of Fame slugger.
Ended up with 573. Here's Chris Tremme. Chris has 2 this year, so he's about 571 short of Harmon. Tremme lined out to first back in the 3rd inning. Birmingham leads 2-1 as we head to the 6th. Both pitchers have really settled in. Curveball missed. A pretty good pitch. Take a look at the pitching line on Travis Buckley. 64 pitches. He has retired 15 in a row since the 1st inning. Swung on and missed by Tremme. A ball and 2 strikes. Buckley gave up a hit to Kerry Valerie with 2 outs in the 1st to give Birmingham a 2-0 lead at the time. Valerie was cut down trying to steal, and that was the last base runner Birmingham has seen. Tremme's average at 224. He has it over 260 though in his last 50 games as he has shown some improvement. It's out of the University of Houston. Breaking ball misses. 2-2. Trying to give the Barons a start here in the top of the 6th. That one hit him on the arm, I do believe. And what are they going to call? Foul ball or hit? And the umpire, I believe, is calling.
Now he's going to say it hit him. Here comes Pat Kelly out of the Chattanooga dugout. He said, wait a minute. Did you ask him if it hit him or what? He said initially the umpire heard it, thought it hit the bat, and then might have seen a mark on his arm because once Tremme showed him his arm, the umpire ruled that he had been hit. Pat Kelly, a former catcher, said, wait a minute, you're going to let that guy talk you into that?
course, Tremme, a catcher in his own right, he knows all the tricks.
Now look at this. Tremme is in some pain. He said, yeah, now Steve Davis, the trainer for Birmingham, out to have a look at it. Kind of confirmed he'd been hit. Well, listen, Pat, I think it hit him right there. Well, it might have hit him right here on the arm. Let's take a look at the replay. It's inside fastball. Clearly hits him on the forearm. No question about that at all. Running fastball. Hits him right down on the forearm. He's on there. He's got the inning started here for Birmingham. Pat Kelly had a long discussion out there. Steve Davis, the trainer, still out there. You know, watching Pat Kelly out there argue with the umpire reminded me of Ron Johnson. When Ron Johnson was on a couple weeks ago, the manager of Memphis, he went out to argue a play, and he got out to the umpire at second and said, listen, I know you made the right call. I'm not really arguing, but I just want you to stand here and nod your head once in a while because I need the exposure. We're on national TV. This is not an easy call for an umpire. This is regular speed. You can see it looked like it may have come off the bat. The umpire was really unsure. Then he got some help from the catcher.
Well, you also saw Brian King, the umpire, take a long look. Tremme going, and the pitch is foul back. So the Barons, getting a runner aboard, go to the hit and run right away. Tremme's got a pretty good sized welt on that arm. You can see it when he just looked up at it. Got a couple of seams on there from Travis Buckley.
Jimmy Bragan's signature on that forearm. Southern League president.
Jimmy retiring after 15 years as the president of the Southern League following this year. Southern League comprised of 10 clubs, 5 in the Eastern Division, 5 in the West. Greenville has just clinched the second half. That's the Braves AA club. Over in the Eastern Division, Carolina, the Pirates AA team won the first half, so those two will meet in the first round of the playoffs. Huntsville is assured of a spot in the playoffs. They won the first half in the West. Chattanooga fighting. Fly ball right center field. Mottola on the run, gets there and grabs. Reds has some fine defensive outfielders in Mottola and Steve Gibraltar, and Mottola chased that one down for the first out in the inning.
Mottola is what they call a 5-tool player. He can do everything. He's got good speed, good range, gets a good jump on this ball in the alley in right center, and look how much ground he has to cover to track this ball down. He's a good outfielder that's got a lot of promise as a power hitter, and eventually the Reds believe he's going to put it all together. He's got a great arm. He's got 17 assists. That leads the Southern League.
Here's Glenn DeSarcina. His double set up a pair of runs back in the first and fouls this ball out of play. No balls and a strike.
DeSarcina ripped the ball off the top of the wall here last night for a double.
26 doubles on the year. He was the MVP at Sarasota a year ago. Class A club of the White Sox. He has struggled but kept battling. 52 errors so far this year at shortstop, but they say he doesn't back off. He stays aggressive. But just by comparison, Pokey Reese, who is going to be the unanimous all-star at shortstop, has committed 37 errors. And yet everybody just raves about his future. A little bit of a sorting out process at the minor leagues. 21 years old. There aren't too many 21-year-olds ready to play at the major league level.
You might be looking at one there in Pokey Reese.
He's close. There is a guy named Larkin playing in Cincinnati, though. It's not too bad.
Yeah, we don't want you to think that the Reds are concerned about their shortstop position. Pokey Reese, aware of that, actually started out playing at second base this year, trying to get some time there.
Buckley, a long look. Bouncer, base hit right side. I don't think Tremme will test Mottola's arm, and he won't. Throw back in. So runners at first and second with one out. Well, it's baseball now, but college football kickoff special records. Activity in the bullpen for Chattanooga. Wally Ritchie is the left-hander, is Pat Kelly, and Calvin Culbertson is the right-hander. So Kelly out buying a little time.
Well, Buckley had been breezing through this Barons lineup. He hit a batter to start the inning, then got it out, and then DiSarcina singled to right. He's got a couple of runners on with one out. Tough hitter for him right now.
Mike Robertson is due. He's 0 for 2 as Rocky Raccoon, the mascot here in Chattanooga, goes over to entertain some of the fans. 1 ball, no strikes. Looked like maybe he tried to overthrow that fastball.
Yeah, anytime you see a ball like that wild up and away, mechanically a pitcher oftentimes jumps at the plate, his arm's dragging, he can never get it back down in the strike zone.
So Buckley facing the Barons' best hitter in Mike Robertson. This is foul out of play. Robertson had the game-winning hit in last year's Southern League Championship Series against Knoxville to give Birmingham the crown. That was a 10-inning affair. They beat Knoxville 7-6 for the title in 4 games, the best of 5 series. 2 aboard, 1 out. Barons lead 2-1, looking to add to that lead here in the 6th inning. Ripped foul outside of first, and the count's 1-2.
Looks like Buckley took something off that pitch, had Robertson out in front of it. Let's take a look at his delivery here and watch how he gets his arm on top. Good action on the arm as it comes through. Obviously, it was a changeup. You could see his hand was fully extended. He got what he wanted out of it, a strike.
1-2 the count. See Troy Buckley, the catcher, looking down at Robertson's feet to see if he can pick anything up. Just outside. 2-2. Tell me about that as a catcher, watching a hitter's feet.
A lot of times, smart hitters, and I think Mike Robertson's a very smart hitter, will make some adjustments, whether it's creeping closer to the plate or opening up your stance. Let's take a look at this last appeal. Robertson shuts down the swing. They appeal it to the umpire behind the mound. He said he didn't go, but a lot of times hitters will make those subtle adjustments in the batter's box, and catchers, if they're aware, they can pick up on it.
2-2 to Robertson is fouled out of play. Buckley went with a sinker down and away. Count stays 2-2.
I think of Bobby Gritch, who had so much success with the Angels. He was a guy that would move around a lot, try to guess with you. Toby Hare is another guy that really moved a lot in the batter's box. He would close up, make you think that he was looking for a ball away, and then fly wide open, sitting on inside heat.
Guessing game continues. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, 2 aboard. And Buckley backs off the rubber.
I used to have a great time with the late Thurman Munson when he'd get in the box. He'd say, "Where should I stand this time?" "I'll stand in this hole right here." And then next time he'd say, "I'm not standing there." He'd move all over in that batter's box every at bat.
Robertson again hangs tough as Buckley makes quality pitches down and away. Did you ever tell a hitter what was coming because they were so hot you figured to, try something else?
And then they don't know whether to believe you or not.
I remember when Ken Griffey had that streak of 8 straight games with home runs last year. I can't remember the club. It might have been Cleveland, but manager finally said, "Just tell him what's coming." I mean, you've got a better chance of getting him out if he knows what's coming.
Well,
the other way isn't working. Outside, snap throw to first, but Belk wasn't covering. And that is called strike 3. So a bit of a delay by Brian King. Troy Buckley came out, and Mike Robertson did not like the call. Said he swung.
Now, Buckley had a play on at first base. Watch the swing initially here. Robertson tries to shut it down, but he went around in my mind. Let's take a look at it from this angle. Yeah, I think the umpire's right there. the catcher Buckley had a pickoff play on, except he forgot to tell Belt, the first baseman.
So Robertson fans for the second time tonight. 6 strikeouts for Buckley, and here's Shane Turner. So a big strikeout for Buckley, but he needs to get one more out here in the 6th. Turner has bounded out and struck out tonight.
Turner was signed right at the start of August because their regular third baseman, Chris Snopek, broke his little finger. Now the home plate umpire is going into the Barons dugout. Robertson, I'm sure, is still giving him what for about that last call. Now Terry Francona up to defend his player. Why don't you just umpire? See, they have the same relationship in the minors as they do in the big leagues.
Brian's looking for somebody. You'd have to probably guess it's Robertson. There's Turner outside.
Well, the problem when you get an argument in the minor leagues is you're only about 100 feet away from the umpire at all times. There's Francona. You can see him standing at the corner of the dugout.
I managed Double-A for a year, Amarillo in the Texas League. 9 ejections in 1 year. It was too close for me. Turner, fly ball right center field. Mottola looks like he's got it in sight. Does, and the inning's over. So Buckley pitches out of trouble here in the top of the 6th. Steve Gibraltar will lead off. Chattanooga trails 2-1.
There's the Chattanooga mascot having a little fun at umpire Brian King's expense. Minor league baseball here in Chattanooga. Birmingham Barons lead it 2-1 as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning. I tell you, you got to admire these umpires because they have to put up with something like this every single night that they make their way through the Southern League. Pretty tough job. They've got to travel by themselves. Then you got to have some little mascot kicking dirt on your shoes.
and something else, they don't make very much money either.
Well, Mike Robertson didn't really have a appreciation for the umpires, what they had to put up with, because he was called out on a swing that he didn't think he took.
Mike Barnett, the hitting coach, standing with Terry Francona. So Brian King is ready to work, and so is Larry Thomas as Steve Gibraltar steps in and takes a ball. Gibraltar has popped a second and walked. MVP in the Midwest League back in 1992. Gibraltar with Cedar Rapids, 19 homers, 99 runs batted in. Valery's got a lot of room out there to work with and has it for the first out here in the 6th.
Now Gibraltar hit it deep, but Valery had plenty of room. It's 415 feet to straightaway center field in this ballpark. There you see the measurements on that concrete block wall deep in the center.
I played in this ballpark, and I played center field, and as I was looking out there, I remember short-arming a few drives in right center as I got near that warning track. First pitch to Matola's a strike. Yeah, that concrete doesn't give.
I don't know what it is about minor league parks. I would think they could paint the advertisements on padded walls.
This would not have been a ballpark that Pete Reeser would have liked too well. He took a few headers in his career into the outfield walls. Low to Matola. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, you wouldn't have seen Rodney McRae run through the wall here in Chattanooga.
Seen the wall run through him.
He's the fellow that you've seen on the highlights that went full stride through the wall out in the Pacific Coast League.
It was in Vancouver, wasn't it? 3-1 to Matola. Hitters count. Let's see what Thomas serves him. Fastball in the zone. Deep to left center. Valery out of real estate. Tied up at 2.
the swing that has the Reds so excited. Truly a home run cut right there, but that's just the 7th home run as Kerry Valerie runs out of real estate and watches the ball land on the hill in left center. Larry Thomas obviously disgusted by giving up that game-tying home run. Number 17 that Larry Thomas has allowed.
So Mottola hits number 7 and ties this one up. This is Troy Buckley, and the count goes to 2-0. Buckley has walked and doubled. Three balls and no strikes, and how often is it after a home run the pitcher can't find home plate?
Yeah, that has a tendency to make you a little less aggressive.
3-1 as Thomas gets the outside corner. And it's a walk, so Buckley reaches for the 3rd time tonight, and that'll get activity going in the Birmingham bullpen. That is Steve Gaikowski, who's tied for the Southern League lead in appearances. Sinker slider pitcher who begins to throw. Well, let's see if Pat Kelly might play hit and run here. Brian Kelling has good bat control as Terry Francona looks on. Swung on and missed. Chattanooga has all right-handed batters with the exception of 3 switch hitters on their club. Micah Franklin, who is playing tonight, Johnny Bess, a catcher, and Mark Merchant.
Look at the right side of the infield. There's a big hole there for Kelling to take a shot at. Pretty good handler of the bat. Doug Brady is playing toward the bag at second as they're hoping to get a ground ball, maybe turn 2.
Kelly looking at Tommy Dunbar, his third base coach. 1 ball, 1 strike. Buckley has only tried 1 steal all year and was thrown out. And Thomas, with that good move over to first, chases Buckley back. A move like that probably will negate any thoughts that Kelly may have of a hit and run, especially with a weak base runner aboard.
Yeah, you've got to have a lot of confidence in both your runner and your hitter. But Kelly has proven that he can make contact.
Drive to right. Coughlin goes back and grabs it, and that's out number 2 in the inning as Buckley retreats to first.
Watch the base runner at first base here. As Thomas goes toward the plate, Buckley's not real sure if he's coming to first or not. It was very tentative as he made his way off the bag.
Reese takes the strike. Pokey is singled, flied to left, and lined into a double play. 1 for 3 tonight, and extended a hitting streak to 10 games. And again, Buckley with a very short lead is back. Fans certainly like Pokey here in Chattanooga. Hit 340 plus against Birmingham this year. Liner again, right at DeSarcina. So a couple of lineouts in the inning. We are through 6 full at Chattanooga. Michael Jordan will hit 3rd in the inning. It's tied at 2. Barons and Lookouts tied at 2 as we go to the top of the 7th. Michael Jordan will hit in the inning, and we've been certainly featuring Michael tonight. Take a look at some of his highlights and lowlights this evening. Earlier in the game, made a pretty good running catch over in foul territory, got a good jump, and then Buck, the wheels began coming off.
Yeah, he got an air when that ball skipped by him, and then on this drive back to the wall, Michael never found out where the wall was. He had a little bit more room than he thought. And then this was his last at bat. He rounds out for Pokey Reese at shortstop. So Michael is obviously hoping to have a little better results as the game wears on. You know, the Barons have been on national TV 3 times now, and that ball club has decided to donate the money they receive for the broadcast to charity. They've taken an even split. Michael Jordan Foundations receive 50% of the money, and that includes 50 charities and schools across the country that helps kids out. And then the Birmingham area charities will get the other half. But overall, it's quite a gesture by the ownership of the Birmingham Barons, and showing their gratitude for the impact that Michael Jordan has had this year.
Travis Buckley still on the mound. He has given up 1 hit since the first inning, and he'll face Kerry Vowry leading off. Buckley allowed 2 back in the first. Kerry's knocked in a run with a single back in the first, and he struck out in the fourth. Buckley retired 15 in a row until the 6th. He hit Chris Tremian, then gave up a 1-out single to Glenn DeSarcina. Curve stays inside. 2 balls and a strike to Kerry Vowry. Down the right field side. Matola, a long run to foul territory, and it's out of play. Buck, you were telling me before the game that Vowry and Jordan fairly close friendship.
Yeah. Kerry Vowry has developed a pretty good relationship with Michael Jordan. Well, Jordan's been good with all of his teammates, but playing center field next to Michael Jordan, they've had an awful lot of time together, and he's passed along some of his knowledge of playing in the outfield to Michael Jordan. Quite an athlete, as you mentioned earlier, a defensive back at Southern. He's actually got a tryout with the Detroit Lions.
Breaking ball hit in the air behind first base. Tim Belt makes the call and the grab, and Travis Buckley retires the first hitter, Kerry Vowry, here in the 7th inning. We're in Chattanooga, Tennessee, historic Joe Engel Stadium. Hope you're enjoying this baseball special tonight. Birmingham scored 2 in the first. Michael Jordan has moved out to the on-deck circle. He will bat after Kevin Coughlin. Coughlin 0 for 2 tonight. He's popped out and struck out. Bunt left side. Throw on to first. Not in time as Belt came off the bag. Couldn't get the throw. So second time the Barons have beaten out a bunt single. Doug Brady did it back in the first inning as they picked down Eric Owens, but a couple of excellent bunts.
Now he gets it right off the end of the bat, really kills it down the third base line. Soft grass down the line there. It kind of dies. Eric Owens comes on. Late throw, not in time. Good bunt by Kevin Coughlin.
The Barons pick up their 5th hit. They had 3 in the first. They got 1 in the 6th, and now 1 here in the 7th as Jordan steps in. Pop to first, bounce to short. Michael takes a strike, nothing in 1.
You know, Michael called up his buddy Joe Carter early on and asked him what he thought about playing professional baseball, and Carter said, don't overwhelm yourself with fundamentals or mechanics. Just remember that it's supposed to be fun. That information has helped him a lot.
One thing people have talked about in Birmingham so much is his tremendous work ethic. Out at every day during the homestands at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for extra batting practice. Whatever it takes, he is doing it. Started off well in April, had a 13-game hitting streak. It's been a bit of a struggle since. 254 in August. Pitch out.
Well, even Michael said that hitting streak in April was kind of a fluke because he really wasn't much of a hitter then. He just happened to hit the ball in the right spot and used his speed and got an awful lot of infield hits. But he's been encouraged by his hitting the last couple of weeks, saying, you know, I've hit a few balls pretty well. He's hit the 3 home runs that we talked about. That has him thinking about, you know, this might not be that bad of an idea. I don't think Michael's thinking right now about the big leagues at all. I think he's pleased with his progress. I think he's satisfied that he enjoys the game and likes to work at it. And he knows he's got a lot of work ahead of him. We've seen his play tonight in the outfield, and obviously he's got to make some adjustments out there.
2 balls and a strike. Bouncer outside of third. You know, one of the interesting facets, I think, psychologically, that intrigues me is here's a man who probably or arguably is the greatest athlete in the world, certainly the greatest basketball player ever, in a game where he had so much success, and yet baseball, a failure-driven game where if you hit 300, you're still making out 7 out of 10 times. But he says, I'm not afraid to fail.
And I think that's what everybody should think about, is he wants to be doing this. He's not out trying to prove anything. He just enjoys the game.
2-2 pitch. Curve. They'll appeal. I don't think he went. No, he didn't. And it's a full count.
You know,
Andy
how many
Fletcher,
of us wouldn't like to do something that we've dreamt about? You know, we've all thought about another sport we'd like to play, or, you know, shoot a 68 on the golf course or something like that. But Michael has the ability and the opportunity to do what he's dreamt about for a long time.
Full count. We'll check out Coughlin to see if he's going. He is. Jordan, base hit left field. Coughlin turns second, but will hold on as Keith Gordon gets it back in. So Michael Jordan rips a single to left. He's 1 for 3 on the evening.
Watch that front foot come down. Look at the bat stay back. He keeps his hands inside the ball. Good follow through. Pretty good balance right there. And he goes down and gets that ball. No doubt about that. Base hit to left field. 1 for 3 for Michael Jordan. You know, in his mind, I'm sure he's thinking about 200. Trying to stay over 200. They just have 4 games after tonight.
Well, Michael has knocked Travis Buckley out of the game. Pat Kelly will make a change. We'll be back to tell you about it. Well, Michael visiting with Tim Belk. Maybe he's saying what Lou Brock once said, and nobody can ever conquer baseball. You can only challenge it. But in challenging baseball, Michael, like everybody else, would like to finish up strong this year.
That's what I was looking for at the end of the season, was going through a whole season of going through the ups and downs and seeing a lot of different things in baseball. And then at the end of the season, feel very confident about what I've learned and felt very sure about what I've learned, and seeing if I can, you know, start hitting the ball a lot harder, a lot better, opposite field, up the middle, home runs, triples, doubles, you know, and that gives you a good sense of what you learn, and you've taken that and kind of, you know, even gotten better or, you know, perfected it to a certain extent. So that's a good note for me, the end of the season, the way that I've ended, where I'm hitting the ball hard and hitting it to open spots and getting better hits. You know, if it wouldn't have been that, if it would have been, you know, striking out and, you know, chasing the sliders, chasing the curveballs, then I wouldn't have felt I learned anything. But, you know, the way that I ended, I felt like I learned something.
Well, let me tell you,
those last 11 games very high.
Yeah, the managers around the league. I spoke to Garth Ord's the Knoxville manager. He said the improvement over the summer has been phenomenal.
Wally Ritchie, former pitcher with the Phillies, is the new pitcher for Chattanooga. Wally comes on, and here it's a first and second one-out situation here in the top of the 7th, tie score. Ritchie, 29 years old, makes his home in St. George, Utah now. And it's 2 balls and no strikes to Troy Feynman. So Ritchie behind in the count. Wally went to BYU. 2-0 to Fryman is right through there for a strike, 2-1. Lookouts have a couple of veteran left-handers. Ritchie one, the other one Tim Fortuno, 32 years old. He was with the Reds, but the Reds, in order to keep Tim pitching, sent him out just prior to the strike. Swung on and missed. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Now, Richie pitched in 147 ball games for the Phillies over 4 different seasons. He was always a specialty guy, come in to face hitters in a very similar situation to that right now, facing Troy Fryman.
The 2-2 pitch. Just outside. 3-2.
Well, Fryman's going to have to get used to left-handed pitchers throwing and breaking balls on 3-2 counts, and Richie's just the guy to do that. He's got the experience and the confidence to drop a hook on him, even though it's a full count.
Keep an eye on Coughlin and Jordan. Richie keeps an eye on him with a reverse pickoff move, but no throw. Full count to Troy Fryman. 2-2 tie in the 7th inning as Rogelio Nunez has moved out to the on-deck circle. He would hit for Chris Tremme, the catcher. Runner's not going. Pitch is fouled off. Well, we mentioned Chattanooga came in with a half-game lead over Huntsville. Huntsville is playing Knoxville tonight. Nashville a game back, so the Lookouts need to win this one to assure themselves of maintaining first place. Huntsville won the first half, and Huntsville leads Knoxville 4-1 in the 4th inning tonight. And the bases are loaded as Fryman draws a walk. Buck, you were mentioning probably that shot that Tremme took knocked him out of the ballgame.
Yeah, he got hit the last time up on his right forearm, and Rogelio Nunez is going to come on as a pinch hitter and take his hacks at Wally Ritchie. Nunez caught in the game on Sunday that we saw the Barons against the Memphis Chicks. Had a couple of hits in that game.
Well, Nunez probably the better hitter of the two right now between he and Tremme, although Chris the better defensive catcher. But with that shot Tremme took on the meat part of the forearm, evidently it is stiffened up on him, and Nunez will bat with the bases loaded and 1 out.
Let me tell you a little story about Nunez and Michael Jordan. Nunez is trying to learn English. He comes from Puerto Rico, and Michael has challenged him to bring a new baseball word to the park every day and spell it for him, trying to get him more active and interested in the English language. That tells you what Michael Jordan thinks about his teammates, trying to help everybody out.
1 ball, no strikes to Nunez. What was the deal? Jordan gives him $100 a word, but if he makes a mistake, then it goes back to 0 and they start over again. What's the current debt?
I'm not real sure. I heard it was up to $7,500 at one time, but he misspelled one baseball word and lost it.
Starting over again. Foul ball out of play, right side. Nunez out of the Dominican Republic. Excellent throwing arm. Just not quite as accomplished as a receiver as Chris Tremme. Right now up there trying to put the Barons ahead here in the 7th inning. And he fouls it out of play. 1-2. Chattanooga, a mixture of young and old. A lot of the top young prospects are here, but a couple of veterans the Reds organization has brought in to maybe help put them over the hump and win, because that's always a good learning process for youngsters, is how to win. Base hit left field. Jordan did not get a good jump off second, so he'll have to hold on. But in to score is Coughlin, and the Barons grab a 3-2 lead on a jam job to left field by Rogelio Nunez.
Well, the bases were loaded with 1 out. Nunez coming on as a pinch hitter, gets the ball inside. Watch Jordan's reaction as a base runner at second base. He's really unsure as to whether or not that ball's going through. It looked like he looked to see if the base runner at third base was going. It was a line drive. Wasn't quite sure that that was going to go clearly into left field, so he didn't get a very good jump.
Here's the second baseman, Doug Brady. The switch hitter turns around and bats right-handed and looks at strike 1. So Birmingham leads 3-2. Bases remain loaded with still just 1 out here in the 7th. So a bunt single by Coughlin, a base hit by Jordan, a walk to Fryman, and an RBI single by Nunez put the Barons back on top. Pop fly, shallow right field. Mottola coming hard, and it's a foul ball. Good effort, but not there. Jordan was tagged, but no catch, so Michael will have to go back to third.
Mottola coming hard, slides into foul ground. It's well beyond his reach. Really didn't have a chance at it at all. He's got an outstanding arm. Jordan going back, tag up. Mike Barnett, the third base coach, getting him back there. Breaks his stride down. Mottola, 17 assists. He picked up one here last night when he played a ball off the wall and delivered a perfect relay throw.
Pokey Reese trying to help his club out, put the pickoff play on, but Fryman did not have that big a lead at second. 3-2 Birmingham. Chattanooga had tied it in the bottom of the sixth, but the Barons have reclaimed the lead here in the top of the seventh. Just off the corner, 1-2. So Wally Ritchie has walked a man and given up a looping single to left. He needs a ground ball to see if his infield can turn a twin killing here. Slider low, 2-2. Brady, a 12th round draft choice of the White Sox out of Liberty University. Doug, 24 years old. Foul back. Count stays 2-2. Travis Buckley is on the hook for the decision right now. Coughlin, who beat out the bunt single, got a hit off him. Buckley also responsible for Jordan, who's the runner at third. There's Travis. Pitched very well tonight. Foul back again.
Well, the Reds infield, the Lookouts infield is going to have to be quick with Brady running. If they have any shot at a double play, he's a very good runner, even though he's coming out of the right-handed hitting box here in this particular at bat.
Curveball just got a little piece of it. Had him out in front, but just got it on the end of the bat. So the count holds at 2-2.
Big slow hook. Wally Ritchie can throw that hook anytime, and with 2 strikes, Brady just gets a piece of it. Out it into the dirt.
Again, so Brady and Ritchie having a pretty good battle here.
Dave, I don't know about you, but I'd love to see a fly ball to right field.
See Mottola throw and Jordan run?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good test. Mottola with that great arm in right field. Jordan with good speed. Southern League leader in assists from the outfield right there. Chad Mottola, Michael Jordan with good speed at third.
Baseline barbecue behind. How come they haven't brought any up to us? 2-2 pitch. Popped him up left side, foul territory, and this one out of play. So Ritchie will deliver his 10th pitch to Brady in this at bat.
You didn't get your barbecue sandwich?
No.
They brought 2 of them up here.
Saw Al McCoy, writer from Dayton, up on the roof. He's pacing. He's down here covering the Chattanooga club. Send Marty Ernoff down after some scraps for us. The ball game perhaps in the balance, and Ritchie and Brady battling. Popped up. Pokey Reese coming on makes the grab. They couldn't call the infield fly rule because Reese didn't have it for sure. And Pokey comes on and makes an excellent catch.
That was a little bit like the Billy Martin play in the World Series. It wasn't hit high enough for anybody to call it, and for the umpires to call an infield fly. Brady gets jammed. It's a little looper just over the mound. And look at Reese. Good speed. He takes over and gloves it just about knee high. Everybody has to hold their positions on the bases. There you see Reese calling for it. Once he had a bead on it, it was all his.
What was that, 56 series? And I think Jackie Robinson hit it. Pokey came on and grabbed it. Here's Glenn DeSarcina. 1 ball, no strikes. So a big out by Ritchie, keeping his club very much in the game. DeSarcina 2 for 3 tonight, is single and double. Well, one thing we've learned about the minor leagues, they play at about the same pace as the big league games. 3-2 Birmingham in the 7th. There's a strike, breaking ball, 1-1. Glenn with 56 runs batted in. He is second to Kerry Bowery on the club. Bowery got his 58th tonight.
So when you think about the club leader, 58, and then Michael Jordan with 49, that's not too bad. I don't care what he's hitting. He's been productive. Terry Francona said he's really shown an ability to handle run-producing situations. And 49 ribbies.
2-2 through a 2-1 breaking ball. I think Glenn was sitting all over fastball. There's Terry Francona. Get that ball up. Terry, you must say it nicer than I used to. I'd have been gone. I'd have been sitting up about 15 rows in the seats by now. 2-2 pitch. Got him. Fastball, probably looking breaking ball right down the middle. Can't argue that pitch. That pitch was right down the middle. We go to the bottom of the 7th, 3-2 Birmingham. Well, Birmingham grabs the lead in the top of the 7th. Glenn DeSarcina was trying to make it a bigger lead, but was called out on strikes.
Hey, look at this called strike 3 here. DeSarcina had beefed on an earlier strike call, pitched before, and right there, Brian King rings him up on a fastball. DeSarcina felt like it was off the plate outside. Francona has to convince him to take his defensive position and give up the argument to stay in the ball game. Brian King had an earlier beef with Mike Robertson after Robertson thought he had checked his swing.
Out at the bottom of the 7th, new catcher Rogelio Nunez, who put the Barons ahead with a pinch single, stays in. Eric Owens will be the first hitter, and Nunez reminds his third baseman Shane Turner to watch out for the bunt. Owens 1 for 3. He's been aboard twice, once on an air. So Chattanooga, the game means a lot to them, but they're down 3-2. Bouncing to the hole. DeSarcina has. Long throw is in time. So 1 pitch, 1 out in the bottom of the 7th. Well, following the game tonight, the Chris Berman nickname show. The title certainly speaks for itself as that fan is reading the book. Join Chris for an entertaining half hour of some of his best sports nicknames. Just a reminder also that portions of the proceeds of the book go to the Jimmy V Foundation. But stay tuned afterwards for the Boomer at his best, his nickname show tonight following baseball at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. Here's Tim Belk. 0 for 3 tonight. 1 ball, no strikes. Thomas has been trying to get him to bite on that slider all night.
Now, there's a couple of slam dunks for Boomer's book in this game tonight, huh?
Yeah?
Hokey Pokey Reese.
What about Mr. Belk? Didn't we have one? We were discussing it last night in dinner, how quickly we forget.
Got to be Air Jordan, of course, huh?
Steve Rock of Gibraltar, but that's too easy.
I said they were slam dunks.
What about Tim the Incredible Belk? Larry Thomas delivers on the outside corner. 3 balls and a strike. Belk has been named to the All-Star team in the Southern League as the first baseman and draws a 1-out walk from Larry Thomas. Still activity in the Birmingham bullpen. Francona may want to make a change.
I think Francona is going to be very pleased with what he's gotten from Larry Thomas tonight, and he makes the call for the bullpen. Got a fresh pitcher coming into the ball game, and that's going to be the end of the night for Larry Thomas.
Well, Thomas departs. He could get the win. Steve Gaikowski coming on. It's 3-2 Birmingham. Historic Engel Stadium here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're definitely amongst them tonight.
Great venue here in this small ballpark in Chattanooga. It's been a lot of fun. Fans have been saying hi all night long. We had a chance to visit with a lot of fans before the game started, and overall I've had a great time here tonight.
I have too. A lot of people are wondering if Sports Center is next. Not tonight. It's going to be Chris Berman's nickname show. This is a baseball special from historic Engel Stadium in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Birmingham leading 3-2. Steve Gaikowski is the new Birmingham pitcher. 5,696 he paid attendance tonight. Gaikowski, a sinker slider pitcher. A lot of decisions for Gaikowski. Began the year as a starter. He was 0-6 in that role. He's been switched over to the bullpen. He's out of Olympia, Washington, 24 years old. Originally signed with Cleveland. White Sox got him as a free agent back in 1992. Keith Gordon, the hitter. And he lays off. 2 balls and no strikes. They'll appeal the swing, but no swing. Andy Fletcher, the first base umpire, said no swing. Gordon's knocked in 1 of the 2 Chattanooga runs tonight. The other one came on a homer by Chad Mottola.
Gordon hit a ringing double last time up the alley in left center. Gaikowski with a good sinker ball. Gordon will have to be patient and make Gaikowski to bring the ball up.
Right side. Robertson going back, and Mike, a good running catch over the shoulder for the second out. So Gordon got fisted on a 2-0 pitch. Mike Robertson grabbed it for the second out in the inning, and that'll bring on Micah Franklin, who will turn around and hit from his better power side, left-handed. Franklin, 31 home runs this year, 10 of them here in Double-A. We mentioned earlier, had 21 home runs in just 42 games at Winston-Salem and earned the promotion back in late May. He tried for that short porch and right. It's only 318 down the right field line, but the wall's substantially high.
Boy, he's got a good looking swing. He was very quick on that pitch. We mentioned Willie McGee and how he's helped out this young ball player. Going to get him back on the right track.
Too bad Michael's not playing right field anymore. We could really check out his vertical leap against that wall. I'd say that wall's about 25 feet, wouldn't you? Changeup from Gaikowski. So Steve ahead, no balls, 2 strikes.
A lot of these White Sox pitchers for The Barons have really developed good change-ups. They throw a combination split-finger change-up, the grip, basically we call the Fosh.
Runner not going.
Adaptation of a forkball grip.
Of course, the White Sox are plenty deep in pitching with their staff at the major league level, most of them young with the exception of Jack McDowell, Scott Ruffcorn, James Baldwin, Steve Shrink, all at AAA, all with a heck of a chance of joining that ball club later on. Runner goes, and Franklin strikes out. Throw is meaningless to second. So that'll do it for the Lookouts here in the 7th inning. We head to inning number 8 from Chattanooga with Birmingham leading 3-2. Well, the Barons looking to add to their lead as we go to the top of the 8th. But before we do,
Minor league baseball. In between innings, watch this. Spin around 7 times and then run right straight down to that other end. Nope, the other way, buddy. There's the winner. Huh? What grown people will do at a ball game.
oh, we're at historic Ingalls Stadium in Chattanooga. The place was built in 1930, restored in 1988 to the tune of about $2.5 million. A fun place for fans to come out. They've set an all-time attendance record this year. They passed the 275,000 mark this year. Wally Ritchie still on the hill as he'll face Mike Robertson leading off the 8th. Robertson to be followed by Shane Turner and then Kerry Valray. Robertson 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts tonight. Ritchie ahead, 0-1. Robertson out of Placentia, California, just 23 years old, and last time up tried to hold up on a check swing but went too far. Outside corner, Ritchie ahead, 0-2. Servite High School for Mike Robertson. 2 ball players came out of there. Mike Witt.
Big Anaheim powerhouse. Mike's got his car packed all ready to make the trip out west. He lives in Las Vegas now, and he's got calf roping equipment in there. He's a big calf roper. He's starting to learn the business of calf roping. Dad said I'd drive out with him, but there's no room in his car.
I think Steve Buchel went to Servite, did he not?
I think so, yeah.
Produced a number of major league players. 2 balls, 2 strikes. It is 3-2 Birmingham, and we're in the top of the 8th. Breaking ball misses, so Ritchie, after being ahead 0-2, has run the string full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Shane Turner on deck. And he got him on strikes. He blew him down with a fastball. So Wally Ritchie struck out D. Sarcina at the end of the 7th and begins the 8th by getting Mike Robertson.
That's a good fastball. I'm sure Robertson had in the back of his mind maybe a breaking ball. You can see he's late on that fastball. He had a pretty good cut, but he was trying to catch up.
Ritchie, like a lot of relievers, works out of the set position even with nobody on base. Shane Turner 0 for 3 tonight. Ball high. Middle of the Barons lineup, 3, 4, and 5 has produced but 1 hit and 10 trips. Michael Jordan had a key hit in the 7th to set the table for Rogelio Nunez's RBI single that put the Barons back in front. Fouled off. 1 ball, 1 strike. Michael figures to get another at bat either here in the 8th or in the 9th. Glenn. 2 balls and a strike. And it's 3-1. Chattanooga trailing in this game 3-2. Entered tonight with a half-game lead over Huntsville and a full game over Nashville. Ripped up the middle, a base hit for Turner. So a 3-1 pitch. Turner got the fastball up in the zone and ripped it to center. And Huntsville is beating Knoxville 8-1 in the 6th. So that even puts more pressure on Chattanooga, because it looks like if nothing changes, Huntsville would go into first place.
Turner gets a fastball away from him and goes with it right back up the middle. He collects his first hit of the night and had an RBI on a ground ball out in the first inning.
Nashville, meanwhile, is losing 3-2 in the 5th. They are playing Memphis. So maybe buying a little time with the right-handed Kerry Valerie up. Activity in the Chattanooga bullpen. Troy Buckley out talking. Calvin Culbertson is up once again. We'll keep an eye on the dugout to see if Pat Kelly may be coming out. And he looks like he is not. Next hitter due is a left-handed hitter, Kevin Coughlin. Turner aboard at first. 1 out in the 8th. Valerie rips it down the third base line, fair. Into the corner. Good play by Gordon will keep Turner at third. Excellent play by Gordon in the corner to save a run. So a 2-base hit by Kerry Valerie, his 2nd hit of the night, and Birmingham is poised to strike again.
Well, Valerie does a good job with this pitch, hooking it down the line. You can see that it's away from him, but he keeps it fair. Eric Owens tries to get over, can't get to it. Good play by Gordon as he had to contend with the bullpen mound down there. The ball bouncing around, makes a good stop on the backhand and keeps Shane Turner from scoring.
So out comes manager Pat Kelly. He's got a couple of options here. He could bring in the right-hander, and they probably would walk Coughlin to get to Jordan, or he could have the left-hander go after Coughlin right here. So he's got to make that decision right now.
Well, the best pinch hitter that Terry Francona has is Randy Hood. He's a right-handed batter, so he's not going to use him in this situation. So Richie looks like he's going to get the opportunity to go against Kevin Coughlin. You can see now
Culbertson's been joined by Scott Sullivan, and they are going to walk Coughlin. So that in all likelihood will mean that they're going to bring in one of those 2 right-handers to face Jordan. Sullivan's a side armor, and that could be it. So Pat Kelly elects to walk Coughlin to load him up to go after Jordan, but you can bet the farm that we're going to see a right-handed pitcher, either Culbertson or Sullivan.
Well, we talked about the importance of this ball game for Pat Kelly's ball club. If they don't win the second half outright, there's a real good possibility they won't make the playoffs, because if Huntsville should win both ends of the season, both halves of the season, then it's the best overall record, and I believe Nashville has the best overall record right now. So it's important for Chattanooga to finish on top of the Western Division in the second half.
Well, you got to believe with Buckley going out to stall a little bit that they're going to want Sullivan, because he was the last guy up in the bullpen. Culbertson's had plenty of time to warm up, and Sullivan a side-arming right-hander. So I think Buckley's just buying a little more time.
Well, there you see Sullivan going from the side. He's out of Auburn University, and he's their horse. They used him as a starter early in the year, but that was designed just to give him innings.
So Pat Kelly is called for Scott Sullivan. That'll be it for Wally Ritchie. And we'll be back to see how Michael fares against the sidearmer. Birmingham leads 3-2. Birmingham looking to add to a 3-2 lead. Michael Jordan will get a chance to hit with the bases loaded and one out. As we look at the runners, Shane Turner is perched at third. Kerry Valerie at second. And Kevin Coughlin is at first base. And they'll be facing the new pitcher, Scott Sullivan, out of Auburn University, 23 years old, 6'3", 208. Carrollton, Alabama is home. And in a recent outing against Knoxville, he struck out 7 in 2 1/3 innings. He is a sidearmer. He was a starter earlier in the year. Fastball strike.
He's only been throwing sidearm the last couple of years, so he's just starting to really get comfortable. But let me tell you, he is not a sinking fastball pitcher from the side. He throws a 4-seamer, a 2-seamer, a slider, and a changeup, and he throws hard.
People who have watched him this year thinks he may be able to help the Reds in mid-relief next year. 1-1 pitch to Michael. Looping drive. It'll score at least one. Matola up with it. His throw to the plate is not in time, and Jordan delivers a 2 RBI single to right center field.
Now we talked about his ability to drive in runs. 2 more ribbies now for the season. 51. Got his second hit of the night. See, that ball jams him a bit, but he gets enough on it to fight it off and flare it over the infield. Second hit, checking Kerry Valerie as he goes around third. Matola's throw to the plate. Valerie scores a second run. 2 ribbies for Michael Jordan.
Familiar sight with that tongue out. He does it when he's going to the hoop, and he does it when he's going to first base. Third on the Barons in RBIs, and the hitter is Troy Fryman. So the best laid plans of manager Pat Kelly have gone down the drain. Fryman takes a strike, ball, and then a strike. Troy has struck out, bounced out, and drawn a walk. So Birmingham has increased their lead to 5-2 here in the top of the 8th inning. Deep left field, but Gordon ranges over and grabs it for the second out in the inning. The runners have to hold. So Michael has done a little bit of everything tonight. He has not looked too good on defense, but he has had 2 key hits in the middle of Birmingham rallies.
Now, he mentioned how he's finishing up very strong with the bat, over 300 the last 2 weeks. And now he's past the 50 ribby plateau.
Here's Rogelio Nunez, switch hitter, batting from the left side. He put Birmingham ahead with a bases loaded single back in the 7th. Took over for Chris Tremmy, who was hit on the arm by a pitch. 5-2 in the 8th. Foul. Chattanooga and Birmingham meet again here tomorrow. As we look at Gaikowski, who will probably pitch the 8th. And then Nashville comes in for games on Friday and Saturday. The Southern League season ends on Saturday to get ready for the playoffs. So Chattanooga only has 3 left after tonight. Unless they can rally, they're going to find themselves at least a half game behind Huntsville, because Huntsville is winning big time tonight over Knoxville. Kelly talking with his coach, Tommy Dunbar. This is out of play. You know, Pat Kelly holds one rather unique distinction off me. I was managing.
I was waiting for this story.
He was playing for El Paso, and I had to activate myself and pitch. I had never pitched in Little League, Junior League, or anything. And he hit a home run off. I walked in the dugout yesterday. He said, I didn't think you'd dare show your face. I went, hey, you're the only man in the history of baseball that's hit a homer off. A hanging fastball.
That happens a lot, of course, at minor league games where you just get taxed with double headers and you have to call on non-pitchers to give you an inning or two.
Sometimes the manager.
Sometimes the manager.
You told me you pitched in the big leagues in inning.
Yeah, I pitched in Kansas City. I was with Milwaukee. I was the third non-pitcher to pitch in that game.
Must have been a heck of a night. Nunez strikes out. So the Barons score 2, and Michael Jordan knocked them both in with a looping single to right center field. And Michael has had a good night offensively. 5-2 Barons. Birmingham's opened up a 3-run lead. A 2 RBI single by Michael Jordan highlighted the top of the 8th. Baseball not the only thing on the ESPN calendar. Join Lee Corso, Craig James, and Chris Fowler this Saturday as they preview the upcoming college football season, including their individual predictions. Game day will also take a look at the Florida State Seminoles as they prepare to defend their national title. Following a summer of discontent, College game day followed by Cincinnati at Indiana at 12:30 Eastern. And then Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific, Oklahoma goes to the Carrier Dome to take on Syracuse. Well, if that's a Jordan fan, he's seen Michael shine offensively with a couple of hits tonight. Steve Gibraltar trying to give the Lookouts a start, but gets jammed and hits a soft liner to Glenn DeSarcina. So 1 pitch, 1 out here in the 8th. Gibraltar 0 for 3 with a walk tonight, and that'll bring on Chad Mottola, who got the Lookouts even in the 6th with a long home run to left center, but it's been all Birmingham since.
Well, of the two teams, the Lookouts have the pop to get back from a 3-run deficit. They've got some power in the lineup.
Mottola bounced out, flied to right, and then hit the long homer to left. Slider stays high. 1 ball, no strikes. The thing they talk about Mottola when he does get the bat head out and makes contact, they said the crack of the bat sounds kind of reminiscent of a guy by the name of Dale Murphy. He has that kind of size too, 6'4", 220. One of the things the Reds have been working with Mottola on is starting his approach to the pitcher a little sooner. He likes to wait on the ball, but he's had to battle getting jammed quite a bit this year.
And that's not unusual for a guy that's played college ball.
With the aluminum bat. Got him on strikes. So a slider sets down Mottola, and Gajkowski quickly gets 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th.
Gajkowski's a bit of a short armer. He doesn't give it an awful lot of motion, but he can get that ball up there. That looked like a hard slider that was on the outer half of the plate. Sinker slider, pretty basic, but he'd come at you, throw a lot of strikes.
Well, that's the Lookout of the logos. And what are they doing? 38 miles an hour? That's kind of a years in my range anymore.
That's the one Pat Kelly hit out, right?
Indeed. Troy Buckley's been aboard 3 times, a couple of walks and a double tonight. Young man out of Santa Clara University. His good hometown. He's out of Campbell, California.
Boy, Santa Clara over the years has produced some great major leaguers, going back to Al Gallagher, Bob Garibaldi, Nellie Briles.
Here's the pitch, bounced up the middle. DeSarcina on the move, and 1-2-3 inning for Steve Gajkowski. So we're through 8 innings in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Lookouts desperately needing a win, but trail 5-2.
Chattanooga Barons lead at 5-2, top of the 9th inning. The new pitcher for Chattanooga on the mound. Another left-hander coming in will be John Burgos.
He's 27, out of San Juan, Puerto Rico. Signed with the Texas Rangers out of Arizona Western College back in 1986. Never has logged too many innings. 92 is the most in his career. The Reds signed him as a free agent in 1993. Began with Chattanooga this year. Went down to Winston-Salem. Also at Charlotte. And he's back up with Chattanooga. Excuse me, not Charlotte. Charleston. Couldn't read my notes here. So Burgos comes on, and he'll be facing the Barons, trying to hold them at bay here. Birmingham leading 5-2 as we go to the ninth.
Well, Pat Kelly took a shot and brought his ace in out of the bullpen. Scott Sullivan, but Michael Jordan fought off a fastball, drove in 2. And then Sullivan got out of the inning, but that's all that Kelly wanted him for, was that key situation.
Brady started off the first with a bunt single and eventually scored the first Birmingham run in this game. They got 2 in the first, 1 in the 7th, and 2 more in the 8th. And they lead 5-2. So Brady, the switch hitter, batting right-handed for the second time, out on a good running catch by Pokey Reese, the shortstop. Strike called to Brady, a ball and a strike. Michael, if you just had a little bit of fun in life, you know. Fulfilling a boyhood dream and something his father always dreamed of, more so than an NBA career. He wanted his son Michael to be able to play Major League Baseball.
Well, of course, his father was killed in Birmingham in appreciation for the season. They've dedicated a field. The Birmingham Barons have adopted an inner city baseball field in Birmingham, and they're going to rename it James Jordan Field in honor of Michael's father. And the groundskeeper for the Barons is going to go down there and rehab the field and get it up to speed and make sure that the kids in the inner city have a place to play baseball.
Amazing effect on attendance this year. Brady gives this one a pretty good ride to left field, but Gordon goes back, and Keith Gordon has played excellent defensive baseball tonight for Chattanooga. Brady's going, what happened? I thought that one was over the fence.
It gets kind of dark in the outfield in these minor league parks, and I think Doug Brady lost sight of the ball as it got toward the wall. He felt he got enough of it. Maybe he hit it out of here, but look at the effort by Keith Gordon. He's got a bead on it, drops a Willie Mays basket catch on it, just a few strides short of the wall.
So Gordon's had a good evening, a single and a double, and a couple of fine defensive plays as DiSarcina takes outside, 1-0. Started to mention the Jordan effect on attendance in the Southern League. I mean, obviously Birmingham set an all-time record, 467,000 plus. But between home and road, almost 1 million people have seen the Barons play in the Southern League this year. Chattanooga, as we mentioned, has set an all-time record. So Michael has certainly made his presence felt.
I'm sure the crowd here in this 3-game series is reduced somewhat because of school. School's back in session here in Chattanooga.
The first time Michael was in town, they had standing room only. In fact, we talked about Joe Engel moving the fences way in. When Jordan was here the first time, both managers agreed to move the fences in left field in 30 feet because they had over 13,000 here in a stadium that only seats 7,500.
They should have remembered to put the balls in the freezer.
But Joe did. 1-2 to DiSarcina. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Glenn tonight has doubled, singled, in between, fly to center field, and then struck out and was none too happy about it. 5-2 Birmingham in the 9th. Strike 3 called on the inside corner.
Well, he was pretty restrained that time. Maybe he felt there was a little payback. Francona saying, that's okay, just take it. We've got 1 more inning to play on defense. Take a look at this last pitch. DiSarcina was called out in his last at bat on an outside pitch. That time in disbelief, he reacts to the third strike call by Brian King.
Well, here's Mike Robertson. Mike's had a tough night. Barron's best hitter has the silver sombrero with 3 strikeouts. Bouncing ball foul outside of first. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, we mentioned about some of the Chattanooga heroes. How about Birmingham Barons in the Hall of Fame? Satchel Paige and Willie Mays played for the Black Barons. Pie Traynor 10 times, hit 300. Burley Grimes, the last legal spitball pitcher. Raleigh and Reggie in the mid-60s played at Birmingham when Charlie Finley revived baseball down in the Birmingham area. Of course, Rickwood Field torn down after the 1987 season. That had a 77-year-old history, but baseball was not in Birmingham for a couple of years until Finley kind of rescued it back around 65. Robertson lost one left center. Gordon coming. Look out, guys. And Keith Gordon grabs it. So 3 up and 3 down for the Barons in the top of the 9th. We go to the bottom half. It's 5-2 Birmingham. Fence. Back in the 7th inning, a 2-2 tie. Man on first base. Jordan helped set the table, and Barons eventually took the lead. And then with the bases loaded in the 8th and 1 out, drops a single into right field to score 2 and up a 3-2 lead to 5-2. So Michael has made his contributions. Hit the ball very well to left field. Not all that well to right, but it'll look like a rocket in the box score tomorrow. It'll be 2 for 4 with 2 runs batted in.
Hey, you can see what he's done in his last 11 games. Driven in 7 runs, up over 353 for that 11-game stretch. So he's finishing up on a real high note, and that's got him feeling pretty good about hitting. There's no mistaking the sincerity in that smile. He is definitely enjoying himself.
Well, Chris Woodfin comes on to pitch for Birmingham. He'll try to close it out. In 11 games with the club, 1-1 with 6 saves. You see his ERA, and his primary pitch is a pitch he named himself. He calls it a scratch.
It's another adaptation of that forkball changeup. He'll turn it over a little bit like a screwball. Remember, Mike Boddicker for the Orioles came up with the Fosh name when he first came up to Baltimore. And Chris Woodfin, not a real overpowering pitcher. He'll throw that changeup any time, and it's a very effective pitch for him.
Well, the final score has come in. Huntsville has beaten Knoxville 9-3. So Chattanooga's either got to rally here and get 3 to go extra innings, or 4, or they're going to find themselves in 2nd place. Brian Kelling, the 9th hitter in the order, leads it off against Woodfin. First pitch is strike 1. Third baseman, even with the line. That is Shane Turner to protect against the bunt. Kelling, routine fly towards Jordan. Michael comes on and got it for the first out. Well, due to the length of this game, we will not see Chris Berman's nickname show. That'll be shown at a later time. But coming up next, Sports Center with Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick. News on the baseball strike, U.S. Open tennis highlights, and the latest on Deion Sanders. Chris's book is still on sale with proceeds going to the Jimmy V Foundation. Here's Pokey Reese. Singled back in the first, is 1 for 4 on the evening. Woodfin's pitch is up high. 2 balls and no strikes. (5-2) Birmingham. Reese takes the strike. Pokey taking all the way, behind by 3 runs. Nice to see that. That's the way the game's supposed to be played.
Well, that's what's gotten his season turned around. You mentioned that he hit under 200 in April and May, but now his average up to 273 because he's more selective, a little more patient, and that really came into effect when they moved him in that leadoff spot.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
He still says, hey, I'd rather be down in the lineup, but I guess I'm doing okay as a leadoff hitter. Yeah, I guess so. 12 homers. Pat Kelly felt like it might really enhance his approach at the plate, having him take a few more pitches, think about getting on base.
You know, barring any kind of an injury to Pokey Reese, folks, you will see this young man playing into the major leagues, and probably not too many years from now. Lays off the breaking ball, full count. Fans still pulling. Pokey figures he's going to get a fastball 3-2. Let's see if he does. Nope. Woodfin threw the breaking ball, and that might have been a mistake. You've got a 3-run lead. You better challenge somebody.
Well, Woodfin did this on Sunday. Yeah, he told him too. He got on Nunez and said, don't let him throw that changeup 3-2. We're up by 3 runs. You can't afford to walk hitters. Remember, we talked about the power in this lookouts lineup. But Woodfin likes that changeup. I don't think that was the right time to throw a 3-2.
Owens takes the strike. The thing I like what these kids are doing, though, Buck, I mean, they're down 3. They know they got to get another runner on. They're taking a strike. So many times at the major league level, those guys won't take a strike. They're just up there hacking. Swung on and missed, 0-2.
Well, you'd like to get in a situation where you can get Belk, Gordon, or Franklin to the plate.
Belk is on deck. Owens trying to get aboard. Eric 1 for 4 tonight. 5-2 Birmingham. 1 out in the 9th, and he went after the pitch in the dirt. He's automatically out. And that's 2 outs here in the 9th. Couldn't lay off that scratch pitch.
Once that Woodfin got ahead of him with the fastball, he went to that changeup. It's a very good pitch. Right here he is ahead. You can see the movement on it, straight down and away. Not only is it an effective off-speed pitch, but it's also a breaking pitch at the same time.
Tim Belk 0 for 3 tonight. Tim takes a fastball high, 1 ball, no strikes. Larry Thomas is in line to win it. If the score holds, his record will go to 5-10. Travis Buckley 9-8 would take the loss. Woodfin trying to notch his 7th save of the year. He's ruled high, 2 balls, no strikes. Chad Mottola has hit the game's only homer in the 6th, his 7th of the year. 2 balls, no strikes. And Belk taking a strike. 2-1. Well, I'm impressed the way these kids are playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, and that's a credit to their manager, Pat Kelly.
Well, this is where you're able to do some instructing.
Belk up the middle, a base hit. That'll bring Micah Franklin with 31 home runs this year to the plate. I'm sorry, Keith Gordon. I was looking 1 ahead of myself. So Belk gets into the hit column. He's 1 for 4. Gordon has singled and doubled. He is 2 for 4 tonight.
Well, he has big-time power. Francona's moving the outfielders back. He doesn't want anything over their heads, so they'll play way back. You can see all 3 outfielders just a few feet shy of the warning track. Don't want to give up extra bases here.
Woodfin up high with the fastball. 1 ball, no strikes.
Now here's a guy that you will let swing.
Well, he's tying run. Yeah,
when he gets the count in his favor. Now he can really sit on a fastball.
Fastball strike. 1-1. Fastball wide. 2-1.
Wonder if Woodfin is really stuck to the fastball. He doesn't have an overpowering fastball. His save total at 6 is because of that very effective changeup.
And Rogelio Nunez is going to go out and have a talk with his right-hander.
Remember, Francona got on the catcher for calling that changeup 3-2 to Pokey Reese. Maybe Woodfin wanted to throw it. Francona had already let his wishes be known to the catcher, so Nunez went out there to remind Woodfin, hey, Francona wants that fastball. There it is.
3-1.
You know, that often happens when a pitcher doesn't really have his heart in a pitch. He won't throw it very well.
You sound like you've been through that trip to the mound before.
And they say, see, I told you that wasn't the right pitch to throw.
1 for 10 with men in scoring position. Swung on and missed. 3-2. Both runners will be off. This will make the long throw to first base from third or short.
I bet you he goes to that changeup now.
Fastball blew it by him. So that'll do it. Chattanooga has slipped into second place as Huntsville, by their 9-3 victory over Knoxville tonight, has gone back into first. Final score once again is Birmingham 5 and Chattanooga 2. Be sure to join us tomorrow for the season premiere of college football on ESPN as the number 8 Arizona Wildcats and their Desert Swarm defense take on Georgia Tech from Atlanta, Georgia. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. Michael Jordan had a couple of hits. For Buck Martinez and the rest of our ESPN crew, I'm Dave Campbell. Sports Center is coming up next. Good night, everybody. Final score, 5-2.